Hey, listen up. We got another episode of Wisecracks, featuring the crack man himself, Bill Krackomberger, and our co-host, John Orlando, straight from Las Vegas. Wisecracks is your ticket inside the world of sports betting, with tips, picks, special guests, and more. Only on WSN.com.
John Orlando here with another episode of Wisecracks. I'm sitting in a different chair today, Crack.
Yeah, you moved to number 3.
Yeah, I'm in chair number 3 for good reason. So I tried to surprise Crack. I texted all the producers and everybody a few days ago. I said, I got a surprise guest this week, guys. I'm not going to tell you anything about it. All I'm going to tell you is Bill is going to love it. And then last night I'm texting you. I kind of felt bad that you were in the dark. I know you want to know. I know you don't like surprises. So I go, do you have any ideas? And you said?
Yeah, your father. Well, you said you love the guy and you're going to love this show.
Right.
So I was like, your dad would only be the one. I really don't love many people.
Right.
Besides my wife and dog.
Right.
I mean, but I said, it's got to be your dad.
Yeah.
I said, oh, wow, that's great.
Burst my bubble. I thought I got you.
Sorry.
Nothing.
So,
no.
So here he is. Thanks for being on. Thanks for our surprise here to John and the great legendary Tony Orlando. Thank you.
Well, I watch the podcast. I listen to the podcast.
Oh, you have? Oh, good.
Yeah, he watched Teddy Atlas. He saw the Teddy Atlas.
Oh, you watched Teddy?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I love it.
Yeah.
And
you like boxing?
guys do a great job. But being in the studio, if anybody out there can't believe this incredible studio. Now, I do a show out of New York at WABC, and it's state of the art, don't get me wrong, but this is really something else. Congratulations, John.
Thank you. Yeah.
My son's done well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's done fantastic.
Well, luckily, we have Travis back there that put this all together. Otherwise, I can't do this.
Tony, you know boxing, so you knew Teddy. You know who he is. You know of him. Teddy, right?
Teddy Atlas.
Teddy Atlas.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, they trained Tyson.
I remember
Michael
watching
Moore.
Teddy Atlas talk about. And then they showed an over-the-head shot of a fight with Tyson. And he showed in slow-mo where the power came. Next time you get with him, ask him to show you that.
Yeah.
And he was doing the color broadcasting, right? And he did a thing where he said, look, watch in slow-mo the power. So Tyson throws a right hand, and they see the right hand come. But what it was odd about it was you could see a muscle move in his shoulder as he went, and there's almost like I can't explain it. It had power in the shoulder pushing the arm. Now, I've never seen that before. And he said that Tyson had the ability to use the shoulder muscles unlike any human being he had ever met before. And that's where the knockout power came from.
Wow. You see how he's so analytical, Teddy? He breaks things down from that exactly standpoint. And the way he explains things so methodically, he is so good. And he's a great guy. I stay at his house when I go to Staten Island. He's one of my best friends.
He's one of the greats in boxing, I think. And I think, Jono, you remember Tyson coming to the shows in Atlantic City.
Sure.
When he was
Vegas.
Yeah, and Vegas, when he was just a little kid.
Oh, wow.
Tyson was very good to me. He's a very good guy. Good to John,
he's doing great now. Look at he made a comeback after his money was stolen from him, or he lost it all, and now he made $10 million in that last fight he had, and now they're offering him a ton of money. I don't know if it's going to happen. They're offering
to fight Logan Paul.
Yeah,
I saw that.
I don't know if that's going to happen though, but they're
sounds like it might.
Really?
Yeah, like $100 million for Mike Tyson.
$100 million. Yeah.
But there's no way he would fight. Like that's.
I guess.
I mean, Mike Tyson kills Logan Paul all day.
Wow.
long.
I was thinking that Logan Paul having 25 years on him. I don't know.
What?
I don't know. I mean, Tyson's going to be favorite.
Yeah. Mike Tyson destroys any non-boxer.
Right.
Did you happen to see the shape he got into for that shot, for that fight?
Unbelievable.
With Roy Jones?
Roy? Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And did you see the head moves and the body moves and the fakes?
Yeah.
For a guy his age, it was really extraordinary because he got a little chubby like me,
Yeah.
like us.
And me. Right. I'm in there.
And he came right down to fighting weight.
Yeah.
And he meant to win that fight. It was like
now. Do you
serious.
buy those? Do you watch that fight? Like, do you buy those fights? Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Now, do you buy like the Jake Paul fighting? These YouTubers. Do you watch those?
I watched that fight.
Yeah, or like when Logan fought Floyd Mayweather. Do you watch that? Yeah.
Fight. Sure.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So you're buying them. I get. It was so much of like a comedy show. I said I'm not buying this, and I'm trying to get the free thing.
Yeah.
I'm trying to watch the free. This is not about money either. I have a allergy
listen,
to
I've
money.
watched some fights that were supposed to be regular that were a comedy show.
That's true.
Right.
That's true.
That's true.
You know.
No,
But
that is true.
this is cool to be in a studio with my son.
Oh, isn't that great? I thought it was.
It's all turned around. It's all turned around. It's completely turned around. Well, it's like
360.
Yeah, it's 360. It's like, I'll give you an example. We went to UFC to meet Dana yesterday, and John says to me, "Okay, Dad, it's this is the address. It's the second building. Just tell them you're with me."
Oh wow.
And I'm thinking,
That's not what you said, though, right?
I did, but let me explain.
yeah.
Wait, no.
But wait a minute. He said it, and rightly so. But here's the cool thing. I pull up to the gate, and the guy goes, "Yes." I went, "John Orlando." "Okay, right here." Yeah.
But wait, let me explain, Bill. The guy at security gate for the UFC, he's like 26. He's too young.
Yeah.
He's not going to know. Yeah.
Right.
And he sees me every week. It's just that he sees me every week.
I just showed our producer Travis.
There were some people 56 at one point.
I showed our producer something, and I said, "Oh yeah, this is a great. Look at this. Look at the TV guide."
Well,
Tony Orlando. And
he goes, "What's TV Guide?"
He said, "What's TV Guide?"
No.
He didn't
Of
know.
course, he doesn't know what TV Guide is.
Oh
No.
my God.
I mean, did we grow? I grew up on TV.
Of course, it's a big deal to be on the cover of TV Guide.
Like that was that big deal. I told him, I said, "This is the number one thing
Do
you
you
want to be
know?
on."
Do you realize that when that came out, there was no
such.
such thing as internet.
Yeah.
Right.
There was no such thing as cable.
No cable TV.
Okay.
Not even cable TV.
And not even Fox.
No Fox.
ABC, NBC, CBS.
And a
that's
local
it.
channel in your hometown.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
That's part of my thing. Your show, we had 4 networks on in the Bronx. Everyone watched.
What's the fourth network?
No, back then, no
PBS.
Fox.
We had
Oh,
PBS.
PBS.
Oh,
Yeah,
PBS.
Yeah, the
okay.
local PBS
Right. We didn't
station.
count that as a
You can't
network.
count that as a network.
Yeah.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So think about how big at that time having that show was.
Do you realize I got canceled with a 36 share?
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Let me explain what that is. A 36 share means that anywhere between 36 million and 40 million people are watching that show.
Right.
I was canceled with a 36 share.
And to put it in perspective, don't quote me on the exact number, people. I want to say Seinfeld, #1 show, was like a 32.
Right. There you go.
So think
Years
about
later.
that.
Years
Years
later.
later. Right.
Did they have another show lined up or something?
So-
or just was it a network? Was it like a problem with someone that worked there? Or?
What happened was I was replaced. We were on Wednesday nights, killing it. Little House on the Prairie, Michael Landon was killing it equally. In fact, I'd see Michael Landon, and I'd go, "Hey, what was your share this week?" And he'd go, "You tell me first." I go, "I got a 36 share." He goes, "I got a 34. Then the following week, it would reverse. So we're battling all the time for our time share. But 36 share, to be canceled with that,
unbelievable.
why would you think they would cancel us with such a high number? Because they changed our night to fight off a show because they thought we had the right demographic to fight it off called Happy Days, which
God.
had a 70 share.
on Tuesdays?
Right.
And that was it. We were history. We were history.
God.
That show was such a phenomenon.
It was an unbelievable show.
Yeah.
It was incredible. So we got canceled. We were on for 4 years. And when I think, I didn't know what I had. I didn't know that I was seeing 40 million people. You do your job. You do your job.
Yeah, like right here. We don't know who's watching, how many people. But
10?
you were doing your job to 40 million people.
You got 10 people watching?
Yeah, right.
I got 5 on my radio show. It's okay.
Oh, good.
The point is that you don't, when you're in the middle of it, you don't realize it until it's retrospective. People say, did you know how big it was? I said, no. The only thing that made me feel like I made it was that I was able to go to the Dodger games and sit with Tommy Lasorda.
Wow.
And hang out with the actual ball players, or go on the field with them, or they invite us out to dinner, or they give John when he was 6 or 7 years old, their glove, their wristband. Garvey would say, "Here, John, take the wrist." I got to tell you a story about John at the baseball game. I don't know how old you were, maybe 8, 9 years old. And Pedro Guerrero was in a slump.
No, older. I was 14.
Oh, you were? Okay.
Yeah.
But you started going since you were 6.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's 14 years old, playing ball, and playing great ball, by the way. And he goes, "Dad, I know what's wrong with Pedro." I said, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah." Now, remember, our box seats were right next to Tommy. Tommy, we could talk to Tommy during the game.
We'd get him peanuts sometimes. We'd
give
go
him
buy him
peanuts.
peanuts.
Yeah. And he goes, "There's something wrong with Pedro. I know what it is." I go, "You do? See the way he's holding his bat?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "What do we tell him?" "You want me to tell him?" I said, "Yeah, let's tell him after the game." So I said, "Pedro, mira, conmigo allá atrás con mi hijo, okay? You meet me back there with my son, right?" So we go back, and John goes, I said, "Tell him."
I'm scared to death, by the way, because I'm kind of shy back then, believe it or not.
Pedro Guerrero.
Yeah, and I'm like, I was just telling you, I didn't mean I wanted to have a sit down with Pedro Guerrero.
It was crazy because Pedro's answer to him was weird after he got a home run. After John gave him the tip, the next day we're at the game, Pedro looks at John and goes, "Okay, I'm going to try it, man." And he goes up to the plate.
Wow.
That's a true story, 100%.
And he goes into the stance that John's talking about, and bam, a home run. He comes around the home plate, and he says to John as he comes back to the dugout, he says, "Oh, yeah, John, thank you, man."
Yep.
So he went on to hit how many?
He went on to hit 14 home runs in the month of June, which was a National League and Dodger record. It since has been broken. I think Sammy Sosa ended up breaking it that year. Sammy was crushing home runs.
Wow.
But at the time, it was a Dodger record. He hit
I can't believe you never
runs.
talked about us. All the shows we've done together.
And then you know what he said? And he was serious, Pedro. You remember this? He said, "Listen, Tony, man, don't tell Junior Gilliam, because he's my hitting instructor, man. and he would get upset that a 14-year-old told me how to adjust my bat, and I hit a home run. Please don't tell Gilliam."
Wow.
I was such a big fan of Pedro Guerrero back then. I watched every at bat, and so I noticed every little thing. And he just changed his batting stance like mid-season. Yeah, and he went into a slump, and I was like, "What
have
doing?
I told you?"
Yeah.
Wow.
What have I told you?
Yeah.
And you probably will recognize this. I watched Cody Bellinger.
Yeah.
When he first came up. His batting stance was so stupid, but he would swing with such power and an upswing, and so quick was his bat. But his bat was back. He was straight up and down like this. I watch him now, and he's up like this. And I'm going, your biggest year, you looked like you shouldn't be playing baseball.
And he changes it after he wins the MVP, and he changes his batting stance. Unbelievable.
It drives me crazy.
Yeah. It's crazy, right?
Is that him, or is that the people telling him what to do?
But it's like, don't fix it if it ain't broke, right? Like, what are you doing? You win MVP, do everything the same.
See,
right?
we love baseball, right?
Oh, yeah. Me too. Baseball and boxing was my two things growing up.
Me too.
I never went to an NFL game until I came here. I mean, I'm not.
I'm a baseball freak. And John grew up. Our relationship, father-son, without a doubt, baseball was the glue.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Truthfully. Because we went to the games for almost all his young life until his, I had that place for 18 years.
How far were you guys from the stadium? Like, it doesn't matter, probably. Traffic, it's got to be an hour.
We were in Brentwood back then. Probably 40 minutes.
But yeah, you guys went to like most of the home games.
Oh, tons. Yeah. Whenever he was in town, we went. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
For sure.
Wow. Were they yours? You had your seats?
Yeah, he had 4.
I worried about John's. Actually, I worried about John's adult life after that. Because something happened that I thought would affect him emotionally. Tommy Lasorda would greet us naked in the dressing room.
Oh,
that's the truth, man.
And John would.
Why would he be naked?
Check this out. He comes out of the shower. The shower was right there.
Oh,
so they would all come out with a towel, but not Tommy.
Yeah.
Tommy's belly and his, hanging, and he'd be talking to John. John's sitting there.
Yeah. He'd be toweling off,
and John's sitting there, and Tommy's standing in front of him, going, "Yeah, John, we lost that game, and boy, am I pissed." And I'm thinking to myself, myself, does he realize he's just ruined my son?
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That could be.
Yeah.
something.
You even said one time, I remember being little. I remember this, and I remember you saying, "Tommy, come on, put on a towel, put some clothes on."
I did.
Oh wow.
You know,
Wow.
I mean, you know, Tommy's answer was the joke. It ain't no big thing, which is true. but nevertheless, it was shocking for an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So Tony, tell us how tell the listeners, the viewers, me, how you started, where you started, where you grew up as a kid, and
this is my 60th anniversary in show business. My first record came out in '61. So I was a street corner doo-wop kid. I had a little group called the Five Gents. We'd be under the lamppost in New York like every other doo-wop group in New York. It was the thing to do.
Sure.
And I was 13, and I sounded a little bit like Frankie Lyman. I don't think anybody would remember Frankie Lyman.
Of course, I know him. Yeah.
It was Why Do Fools Fall in Love?
Yep.
And I had that little tenor voice like him, 13, 14 years old. Then the group broke up, and I decided to go audition. So I learned 4 chords on the guitar. C, F, G, 7th. That was my whole life. It was the doo-wop chords, right? Or La Bamba, C, F, G, 7th. You get those chords, you're in. So I'd start at the top floor of the Brill Building.
The famous Brill Building, where all the different places guys
and
were.
I'd walk down and knock on every door that said record company.
Yep.
So I come down to the next floor, the next floor, and the next floor, and I got turned down. Then there was a corner restaurant called the Turf Restaurant right below the Brill Building.
Okay.
I'm in there, and a guy named Brooks Arthur, who now works for Adam Sandler and has been with Adam since day one, as all the music you hear in the motion pictures and Adam's albums were produced by Brooks. But then he was a starving songwriter. This is crazy. I don't even think I told you, John. So in the lobby, in the hallway, which was connected to the restaurant, I hear some harmony going on, and it was Dion and the Belmonts.
Wow.
They were in the hallway singing. So I walked over, and I joined. And I started singing.
You joined with the Dion, the Mucci, and the guys?
With the guys,
right in there?
Right in. So I started singing. They were singing like, "Where Are You, Little Star?" That song.
Are they famous at this point?
They're famous.
Okay.
So I was nervous, but I said, I just jumped in.
And you're like 16, 15, 16.
I was 15.
15. Wow. Okay.
So Brooks Arthur hears me because it was connected to the restaurant. He comes out and he goes, "Hey, man, what's your name?" I said, at that time, I was using the word Mickey because I'm a Michael Anthony Orlando Casavitas.
Yep.
My mother and my family always called me Mickey. So he said, "Man, let's go to there's a rehearsal studio. I wrote a song. I want to play it for you. I'd like you to record it." I remember the song was called Ajax. It was like a coaster song. And I'm sitting there, and Kelly Isley of the Isley Brothers hears me singing. And Kelly Isley walks in. You know, that's a famous R&B group to this day, right?
Sure.
It's your
Isley
thing.
Brothers.
You know the thing.
Of course.
Shout and all that. And he walks up to me and says, "I got a name for you, my brother." I said, "What's that?" "I'm going to call you the Gray Ghost." I said, "The Gray Ghost?" He said, "Because you're white, but you sound black."
Wow.
Because I was trying to sound black.
Sure.
Everybody was trying to sound black,
Sure.
still to this day.
Yep.
So I excite Kelly Isley, so he says, "You should take him to Brooks. You should take him to see Kirshner, Donnie Kirshner. Oh, he'd be great up there, man. Go take him there." So Brooks takes me to Donnie Kirshner's office. And there's a guy, this is a long story. There's a guy named
fine.
Eddie,
We have time.
there's a guy named Eddie Singleton sitting there that Brooks knew. We couldn't get into Donnie's office. He was too big, right? At that time, he had Bobby Darin.
Oh, yeah. Kirshner's a giant name.
Yeah.
Giant name in the business.
Carole King, but Carole hadn't had a hit yet as a writer or anything. So Eddie likes what I'm doing. So he takes me into Donnie. And Donnie says, now I'm singing a cappella. So I start singing, I forgot what it was, In the Still of the Night or something. And he goes, "What's your name, man?" I said, "Mickey Casavitas." He said, "That's the worst name. If you're going to make records, you can't use that name. Do you have a middle name?" I said, "Yeah, Orlando." "Oh, that's it?" I said, "Well, my confirmation name is Anthony. Tony Orlando, that's your name." said, oh, okay.
And you're stuck with it.
I got stuck with it. So he goes, hang on a second. He says to the secretary, ask Carol to come in here and Jerry. It was Carol King and Jerry Goffin. Now, Carol and Jerry had not had a hit yet. She comes in. He says, Carol, play Tony Orlando. That's my new name.
Right.
Play that new song you just wrote. I think you should cut it. And she plays me, Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow?
Wow.
So I go, man, that's quite a song. She goes, come on, sit down here, Tony, and sing this line with me. Tonight with words unspoken, you say that I'm the only one. But will my heart be broken when the night meets the morning sun? Is this a lasting treasure or just a moment's pleasure? Can I believe the magic of your sighs? Will you still love me tomorrow? I said, man, that's amazing. And Donnie says, you can't cut this song. I just realized it. I said, am I going to cut a record? He says, yeah, we're going to sign you. I said, and I'm not going to cut this song? He said, no 15-year-old boy says that. Tonight with words unspoken, you say that I'm the only one, but will my heart be broken when the night meets the morning sun? No, that's a girl song. So I lost that song. Then she says, well, how about this one? And she plays me Some Kind of Wonderful, which not the Some Kind of Wonderful by the...
Oh, that's what I'm thinking of.
No.
Some kind of wonderful.
No, that's Some Kind of... Before that, it was the Drifters. Okay? Some Kind of Wonderful. So I go, great. I love that. Am I going to cut that? Yeah. So I come back. I leave there, and I think, this guy's full of shit. There's no way. He's not even a record company. What am I wasting my time here for? And I go home. And I'm home. Honestly, maybe 4 weeks later, the phone rings. My mother says, do you know a Don Kirshner?
Jesus.
I said, yeah. She goes, he says he's been looking for you. He says that you have to come in and sign a contract, but I have to come in with you because you're underaged. So I get on the phone and I go, Mr. Kirshner? He goes, where you been? I said, what are you talking? He said, we want to make records with you. What are you walking out and you never came back? I said, I thought you were full of it. That's why I never came back. You didn't say record company. I don't know what you do. He said, get your butt in here tomorrow. And I go back into the studio, into the office, and I sign my contract. Then he says, I want you to go with Carol and Jerry. This is Carol King now.
Sure.
She's 18 years old. To her house on Brown Street in Brooklyn, as many times as you can. She's going to be your teacher. She's going to take you in the studio, and you're going to make all the demos of the songs that she writes so that you could learn how to sing on a microphone, how to use earphones, etc. So I did that for a year. So I sang the demos to Take Good Care of My Baby for Bobby V, Some Kind of Wonderful, The Drifters, they cut it. Up on the Roof, The Drifters, they cut it. Jesus. All big smash hits. And I would take the sound of that group, like Benny King, and copy him so that it would like fit his sound, right?
Oh, wow.
So finally, Donnie says, I got you a record deal. You're signing with Columbia Records. Their subsidiary label is called Epic Records. They do not have a top 40 act. You'll be the first top 40 act on Epic, which became the home of Michael Jackson and J-Lo.
Sure.
But the first pop act to sign with them was me.
Wow.
So now
That's cool.
Yeah, right? So now I'm 16, and I go and record 4 songs. Half of the Paradise and Bless You become super big hits for me. I'm 16 years old out of that session. And Columbia Records guy who signed me to Columbia Records was the 5th lawyer on the totem pole at Columbia. His name was Clive Davis. So Clive sat and with my mom and signed the contract. Now, recently, Clive was doing a fundraiser, and he called me with Richard from William Morris. And I said, Clive, do you remember signing me when I was 15 years old? He said, I now realize that's you. I didn't realize that was you.
Wow.
I said, yeah, that was me. I was 15 years old. And the first ad that came out was March 21st. I'll never forget this. March 21st, 1961. Epic will introduce a name you'll always remember, a voice you'll never forget. And that was the full-page ad in Billboard and Cashbox. Cashbox being the bigger magazine at that time, by the way. Billboard was second.
And Cashbox is Robert Kardashian, or no? That was his?
No, Cashbox. Oh. No, Cashbox was separate.
Okay.
Kardashian came many years. They called R&R Report. R&R.
Got it. Okay, sorry. Keep going.
But he started doing that. You're right. He was doing record business stuff, and he was a great guy, by the way. And so my whole career started with Donnie, Carol, Jerry, Barry Mann, and Cynthia Wilde. Those four writers went on to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So from a street corner doo-wopper, I find myself on an enormous label with four of the greatest writers ever. Wow. Because those four writers have won the Academy Award, have won the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the Songwriters Hall of Fame, and of course Carol went on with a career with Tapestry, the biggest album ever.
Sure.
The longest running album ever.
And if you don't jump in on the street corner, maybe none of it ever happens.
That's unbelievable. With the Dion and the Belmonts.
That's wild,
Belmont
right?
Avenue in the Bronx.
Yeah.
Wow.
But you know what I learned? I learned you back into success. Because, look, I'm not going to get religious on you, but I believe God's hand is on you.
Sure.
Okay? And I believe that you think you have your destiny in time, but it's not you, you know? I mean, example, 1963, the Beatles came. Rolling Stones came. Tony Orlando was over. I was the youngest oldie but goodie that ever lived at that point. And I got married to Elaine, John's mom.
And the just for the listeners and stuff, the hits you had then weren't the hits that people think of when they think of Tony Orlando. The hits you had was Bless You and Halfway to Paradise.
And that's 10 years before Dawn.
Right.
And the point is, backing into it is, thank you for that, Don. Backing into it, goes like this. I go to work. Who do I go to work for? Clive Davis. What does he do? He makes me general manager of his Columbia's publishing company. I worked my way up in 4 years to the presidency at 23 years old. I'm now vice president of Columbia Records Music Company, April Blackwood Music.
Wow.
I'm signing people and working with James Taylor, and I signed Barry Manilow, and I have Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and I have all these great writers and hits after hits. And I think, okay, now this is my life. I'm gonna support my new wife and my son, and I'm gonna, this is it. I'm gonna be an executive. Never knowing that in my office in comes a buddy of mine who is with the Tokens. His name is Hank Medridge. You know the Tokens? Lion Sleeps Tonight.
Sure.
Okay. He comes in and he goes,
Jay Siegel? Is that the
Jay Siegel.
Oh,
Jay
yeah.
Siegel's the lead singer.
Oh, yeah.
And Hank Medridge comes to my office. He says, hey, man, I'm broke. Got to do me a favor. I need $3,000 to pay my bills or I'm going to be on the street. Here's a record. Could you buy it from me? Or could you help me get it sold? I said, play it for me. And he played me Candida.
Wow.
But Candida with a different vocalist on it. Same chart that you hear me on that record, but a guy. So now I'm thinking I'm doing him a favor. Little do I know, I'm doing myself a favor. This is what I mean by backing in. And you think you're going to be the executive of all time.
Right.
You think your whole dream of being a performer is over, but it's not over because the man upstairs says it's not over. So I am now, all right, let me see. Tell you what, I'll call my friends at Bell Records because that's a singles-oriented label. At that time, FM was in, only hard rock. Pop records were not considered profitable because you didn't sell albums with that, okay? This is one label that wants pop singles. Partridge Family, Fifth Dimension. I call them up, I play them the record. He wants $3,000. They said, we hate the singer. If you get another singer, we'll buy the record. I said, Hank, go find somebody, man. Come on. You can pay your bills, man. He goes, Tony, you do it. I said, I can't do that. I work for Columbia Records. What are you, out of your mind? I get fired. I'm getting $500 a week here. That was a lot of money.
A lot of money back then.
Well, you bet.
In the 60s. Yeah.
You bet. So he goes, Tony, please. I'm broke, man. I said, Hank, I'll tell you what I'll do. We'll go in the studio tonight. You got 1 hour. If I make it in 1 hour, it's yours, but don't call it Tony Orlando. I don't care if you call this record Joe Schmo and the Nail Biters, but you're not going to call it Tony Orlando. I am not going to lose this job.
Sure.
I go in and I cut Candida, and this is how I cut it. And you're hearing this for the first time on the air. Okay, what's the first line, Hank? He goes, stars won't come out if they know that you're about. I play the track. I hear the track. I go, stars. I got it. Stars won't come out if they know that you're about. Stop tape. What's the next line?
Wow.
If they couldn't match the glow of your eyes. If they couldn't match the glow of yours. Now I hear my performance of the first line, right? He plays it in my ear and punches me in for the next line. So I hear, stars won't come out if they know that you're about. Punch, because they couldn't match the glow of your eyes. We did that for the entire song.
Wow.
Except for the bridge.
Because you didn't have time to learn the words.
Right. The words were in front of me.
Right.
On a piece of paper. But I knew oh, my Candida.
Right.
Who could not remember
Sure.
that? So I read that line, and he says, Tony, thank you, man. I said, okay, you got a take? Yeah. I said, Tank, do not call it Tony Orlando, please. So I leave. About 3 months later, my secretary walks in. Cheryl Feuerstein.
Yeah.
She walks in. Tony, you know that song Candida? Now, you have to understand, thousands of songs are coming past me. I didn't remember the name of that song. She goes, Hank's song, Candida. Yeah, what about it? It came on the charts with 50 with a bullet. You know what that is? That means this record's this is a smash. So I go home, and I'm in my car on the very station that I work for now, WABC in New York.
Right.
I hear Bruce Morrow, who is the show before I go on at WABC. I hear him say, here's a brand new record by Dawn. I go, Dawn? That's what he names me? He names me Dawn? And I call up, I said, what the hell is Dawn? He goes, the president's, Steve Wax, the vice president of the company's daughter's name is Dawn. I figured we'd get something, we'd be in good if we call it Dawn.
Wow.
So his mother, who had great ears for records, she says, wow, that sounds like you. Now, I'm afraid to tell her because I have no deal.
Right.
And I know she's smart enough to go, did you make a deal? And I'm going to be stupid enough to say, no, I didn't make a deal. And if it goes to number one, you have no deal? No, but it's Hank. He's my friend. He'll give me something. I got a penny a record for that.
Wow.
That's what I got. A penny.
Wow.
A penny a record. Okay?
And that sold like millions.
It sold 3 million records. So now he comes back. Am I boring you guys?
No, let's keep going.
Are you
This is
kidding me?
great.
Okay, so he comes back. He comes back and he says, you got to do the follow-up. I said, Hank, you're out of your effing mind. You want me to do a follow-up to this record? Are you crazy? I got a job. Clive will fire me tomorrow. He goes, Tony, please, just one more time. Please. So I said, what's the song? He plays me, knock 3 times on the ceiling. I said, that's the worst effing song I ever heard in my life. Are you freaking kidding me? No. I said, Hank, that record will only be a hit in Brooklyn because that's the only place they have pipes to hit.
Right.
That's the only place there is a steam heat. They don't have that in the Midwest. You'll have a number 1 record in New York. Big deal. Tony, just one time. I swear to God, I'll never ask you again. Now, I love Hank. We're best friends. So I go and I record Knock 3 times it sells 4 million singles. And now I got 6 million records sold.
Unbelievable.
And no one knows it's me.
Wow.
So your mother says to me, you want to start a group? I said, are you going to? I don't think so. Well, that was your dream. You always want to be a performer. Why don't you do it? You get 6 million records sold. Who does that? So I go to Clive. I said, Clive, I'm quitting. He says, why? Because you're Dawn?
He knew.
I go, how the hell? How did you know? How did you know? Because it's the worst kept secret in the whole business. Everybody knows that's you.
Wow.
I said, why didn't you tell me? He says, because here's why I didn't tell you. We don't want to lose you, but if I have to lose you, this is Clive. And we just relived this conversation together. He says, but if I'm going to lose you, you're going to have to do an album. And if you're going to do an album, you need to do 6 April Blackwood songs on that album or you're in trouble. So I go to Hank and I said, we had to cut 6 songs. So we cut James Taylor. We cut, all of his songs in there, 2 or 3 of his songs. We cut Wild Thing, which was John.
Meaning you cover all those songs?
We covered those songs
because so they get
money.
Right.
So that was my payment to him to leave. But I'll never forget his words to me, Clive. He said, Tony, you go follow your dream. If the dream don't happen for you, you can always come home. That's the truth.
Wow. What a good guy.
He was a good guy to me, definitely. And so in my life, there I had a Donnie Kirshner behind me. There I had Clive Davis behind me. There I had these incredible writers around me, surrounding me then. And then when I end up getting a television show, by accident, there I go again, backing into it. How did I get the television show? We're supposed to open for the Fifth Dimension. At that time, we had the same manager, Mark Gordon, to Dawn. We weren't even called Tony Orlando and Dawn yet. Cher was working at the In the Round Westbury Music Fair in New York, and the Fifth Dimension were her opening act. She gets the flu. She can't do the show. They go into the closing spot. The manager says, Tony, why don't you open for the Fifth? We open for the Fifth. Who's sitting in the audience? Cher's best friend, the president of CBS, who got her television show. He doesn't know she cancels the show. He's sitting in the audience, unbeknownst to himself that he's about to see his next television show.
And that's Fred Silverman?
Fred Silverman of CBS. Now I'm go out, finish the show. Guy comes backstage and says, excuse me, my name is Fred Silverman. I'm president of CBS Television. Would you be interested in doing a summer replacement show? I almost fainted. Again, it wasn't planned. It was a back-end thing.
So if Cher doesn't get sick, this doesn't happen?
This doesn't happen.
That's
okay,
crazy, right?
So everything I've done is back into. Everything I've done, including this radio show that I'm doing. Everything I have done in my career, I think I pursued it, but it really was not happening that way. It was always backing in.
John, did you know all this, everything he just said?
I didn't
Anything
know.
new?
I knew a lot of it, but a lot of it I didn't know. I didn't know about Cher getting sick and then you opening for the Fifth Dimension. I didn't know that.
So the crazy part about the Cher thing is he says, you know that business that you did in your live show where you wander in the audience and you sing in the audience with the people and then you go for a joke? I go, yeah. He goes, how would we rehearse that? How would we block that in television? In other words, for cameras, how would we know to block where you're going to go? I said, well, let me ask you something, Mr. Silverman. How do you block a football game? He says, you follow the ball. I said, well, say hello to the ball.
That's great.
And we shook hands. And then he said, we can't call this show Dawn. What's Dawn? It's not even the Dawns. What is, He said, we're calling it Tony Orlando and Dawn. And that's when the name actually happened. It didn't happen on the hits. Even on Yellow Ribbon, it was, on Tie Yellow Ribbon Around the Old Tree, it was Dawn featuring Tony Orlando.
Wow.
Right.
But it didn't become Tony Orlando until Freddie Silverman named us that. So again, back it in. The radio show at WABC, I'm home with the pandemic.
Sure.
I
was asking about you. I said, what's your father doing? He said nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
First time in 60 years I didn't work.
Right.
Ever. I'm sitting, I get a phone call from John Catsimatidis, who owns WABC, who I know a long time because of the Greek parade. I'm a Greek-Rican, right? I'm half Greek, half Puerto Rican. So I was the grand marshal of the Greek parade for him. He's a billionaire. He says to me, Tony, calls me up. He says, I need 2 hours of radio after Bruce Morrow. Please do me a favor. Sure. What do you want me to do? I said, I'm not coming to New York every week. I can tell you that.
Right.
With this pandemic. He says, no, we'll get you a Comrex. My man, you know what a Comrex is?
No, I absolutely do
Neither
not.
do I.
You don't know what a Comrex?
I feel like I'm surprised.
It's what it lets you. It's like a remote box that lets you do live radio, right?
So in other words, there's a little box, and on it there's accesses to each radio studio. Mm-hmm. I'm access 3. So I'm at home. I connect it to the internet, and now I'm doing the show through Comrex. Through that the box is literally maybe 4x4.
Wow.
That's it. So he says, yeah, you can do it. You can do it at home. So I do the show at home, and I call Adam Sandler. I said, hey, Adam. Now, I know Adam. John, you know Adam. He doesn't do interviews. He just doesn't do them. He's the greatest guy in the world, but doesn't like to do interviews. Yep. He's a private guy, but he's the best. I said, and he always called me Tony Boy. I'm older than him, but he calls me Tony Boy. So I call him. I say, hey, Adam, I got a radio show. Would you think you could come on first show? Tony Boy, of course, I'll be there. No problem. So the first night we had all kinds of technical problems, and poor Adam, he's sitting there. We had to stop and we're live.
Now you're saying live, Tony. You're home in Branson.
Yeah, we're live,
and he's live.
He's in L.A.
and he's on either live.
He's on live, so he had to call the station.
Right.
They put him through the Comrex.
Yep.
We now are talking, and everyone I was so embarrassed. Every once in a while, we go, I go, Adam, man. I'm sorry. Go, hey man, it's cool. Don't worry about it.
Wow.
And we did the interview. The numbers come in. What? I get a call from the station. Hey, man, our switchboard just burned up. Really? Yeah. You got to get somebody else to come in. I said, oh, okay. So I call Lionel Richie. These are friends, right?
Right.
I call Lionel Richie. I said, I don't know if you'll do this. Adam just did it. Adam did help you doing it? Absolutely. He says, I'll co-host with you.
Wow.
Lionel does, who's the nicest guy also. So he comes on. Now, any guest that I want after that, you guys know.
Yeah.
You say, who was your guest? I said, Adam Sandler and Lionel Richie. Okay, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Of course.
That was the first opening door. But again, I'm a radio guy now.
Yeah.
I never thought I love radio.
Yeah.
In fact, I love radio as a medium more than anything. And that's the truth. Even when I was a guest on radio shows like here, this podcast, and I love it. And I backed in again every single time. And I used to tell John, John, you're going to back into the things. You're going to think you're doing this, but you're going to do that. It happened, Mobile Metal or whatever you were doing, that led you to that guy who led you to that guy. And the next thing you know, you're backing in.
Well, yeah, I mean, Metal Mobile led me to Jake Ellenberger, which led me to Jake one day randomly says, we were at the Hard Rock for Super Bowl. He says, hey, come with me into Mr. Lucky's. I want to say hi to my buddy Bill Krackomberger. He's a big sports bettor. I just want to say hi to him. And that's how we met. Wow. I mean, if you think I backed into this, really, you think about it.
It is.
I watch you. You're so good on the air,
Well, thank you.
You're really great.
That's the highest compliment I can get.
And John and my son. And by the way, I'm even impressed with John's ability to do this, because it takes a certain kind of open. It is the theater of the mind. Although you televise it, I know, but it's not formatted. It's free form.
We are very spontaneous. John loves that. That's John pushing me, by the way, which is probably you pushing him. He's big on that, and I love it. I love not having prepared things. Now, listen, I have a couple prepared guests that you had in your show to mention, but we just go for it, and we just go, and it flows good.
I do that. I have no notes.
Speaking of guests, before you came in today, Bill gets here, and I don't know how he found this, but he found a list of literally every single guest you ever had on the TV show.
Oh yeah, there's a list of every guest you ever
Are
had.
you serious?
It's
every single
crazy.
But first, let's go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because he's talking about the WABC show, how he backed into it.
Yeah.
Me growing up back east, my mother grew up on Arthur Avenue, 1 block away in the Bronx, little Italian section there. It's still there. Still has some really good history there. And when I seen you at the airport, which of course everyone sees you don't remember, but 20 years ago I seen you at an airport in Las Vegas with my wife, and I come up to you, Tony, how you doing? He goes, you were checking him. Put it this way, you were doing something that the old school guys do. New guys don't do this. You were checking out the Sky Cab. They don't do that no more. Now you go in the airport, but the Sky Cab taking you. He goes, I'm running home. Got to go see mom. So it was your mom,
Right.
which I absolutely I lost my mom, by the way, a couple years ago.
I lost mine too. Yeah,
I know you did.
Yeah.
And I actually one of my pictures, I absolutely love this, John. And you can get emotional just thinking about it, but just
that's my mom and I when I was about 5 years old on a rooftop. My Broadway show, which hopefully will get on.
How did you find that? How did you find this stuff?
yeah, isn't that pretty cool?
That's your
Day.
grandmother.
Yeah.
To my mom and Ruth, tomorrow is also her birthday. Happy birthday, Mom. We love and miss you each day. Happy Mother's Day out to all moms. We appreciate you. I just thought I just love this picture. I said, wow, this picture
Jenny put
is
that
so,
on.
Oh.
Yeah, she put that up. Look at that. Isn't that
Yeah.
cool? Really, really cool.
And you know what's interesting about that picture? Where I am on that picture is on the roof of the building I was brought up in on 221 West 21st Street in New York, Manhattan.
Oh, wow.
That's on the roof. Now, if you're a New Yorker, you know the roof was a very important place.
Oh, yeah.
The rooftop.
Yep.
Everything I ever did in my life as a young kid, as you can see with my mom, I play up there on the roof. And then when I got my doo-wop group, that was my stage. That was my first stage. And I remember going up on that rooftop, dreaming about being in show business with the group, singing those old doo-wop songs. And we look at the fire escapes, and I'd say, hey, those fire escapes, that's the box seat.
Sure.
I would say-
Absolutely.
yeah.
You should sleep out there in the summer if it was up there.
Exactly, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
everyone had a stoop. No one knows what a stoop is now, but everyone had stoops and fire escapes above them. And,
Well, tell them what a stoop is.
a stoop is the steps outside, which that's like your area there. That's your building, your area. So you sit on the stoop and just learn the whole things in the neighborhood.
And
Guys
you being
would
a sports guy,
Yeah.
did you ever play stoop ball?
didn't play stoop ball, but I know they were stick ball.
Stick
now,
ball.
stoop ball could be some, but my mother tells me stories about like Johnny on the Pony and these
Oh, yeah, Johnny on the Pony was
Johnny
a
on the
great
Pony.
game.
Yeah,
but stoop
the fire
ball,
hydrants turning them on.
That's right. Your mother was right there.
Oh, yeah.
Stoop ball was the first baseball game I ever played. Okay, what was stoop ball? You had a rubber ball, a Spalding, that's what it was called,
Yep.
a little pink rubber ball
Yep.
that had amazing bouncing power. Now, if you could take the very end of that stoop, the step, a stoop is a step, everybody, okay?
Right.
If you could throw that ball
Like on the corner, like on the corner
around
piece.
the corner, you get distance.
You get distance in back of you. You're throwing it and it's going in
Right.
back of
So
you.
let's say this is my building. This is the building across the street. If I hit the ball to the fourth floor of that building, that's a home run.
Right.
Third floor is a triple. Second floor is a double. First floor is a single. So stoop ball, and you'd have bases. You'd run bases made with chalk. That was my first experience with baseball was actually stoop ball.
Wow.
In New York, stick ball was an actual
Right.
baseball.
I've
game.
seen stoop ball. Now that you say it, though, I've seen when you said the pink Spalding, I knew what it was, but I don't remember running the bases. So, doesn't the distance say how far that you got a double or a
Yes,
single?
but we would run the base.
We still run the bases.
except for the home run.
Okay, except for the home run. Sure.
Now, didn't you play stickball with Joe Torre back then?
I did.
Wow.
Crazy.
I did.
Wow.
Joe Torre has been a friend of mine since I'm 16, since I cut my first record.
Oh wow.
And we're still friends. We're still close.
Oh wow.
John will tell you, I've talked to Joe almost, not as much as I used to, but at least during the year, maybe 10 times during the year, I'll talk to him.
It's every month. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and he, I met him through his brother Frank Torre, who played for the Braves.
Sure.
And how I met Joe, and how we played stickball together was, I was at a restaurant. I had Halfway to Paradise. It was a big hit, #1 in New York. Frank Torre was a big hitter for the Braves before Joe. And I was in a restaurant. I can't remember the name of the restaurant. Oh yes, I do. The Brasserie on 51st Street, between 5th and 6th Avenue. And that was the place where all the performers and singers and at night would go, and he was there. He said, hey, you're going to meet if you think I'm good, wait till you meet my brother, Joe. When are you going to be here again? You going to be here tomorrow night? I said, I'll make sure I'm here tomorrow night. He's coming in. And I met Joe, young, just coming up from the minor leagues, just coming up.
Wow.
And we became close. From that day on, I used to go to Joe's mom's house in Brooklyn for pasta when he was on the road.
Wow.
Wow.
How close are you?
And by the way, that's in his book.
Wow.
You could read this in his book. But here's what happened. He knew me as Mickey,
right.
Tony.
Oh, wow.
But he never thought of me as Tony, Orlando, and Dawn. He forgot, because he met me as Mickey. So I'm at the Omni Hotel Arena with Dawn. And I hear that Joe Torre came to see the show. So I introduced Joe Torre with this story that I just told you. He comes back. This is in his book. He comes backstage and he goes, wait a minute. Time out. Fat Mickey is Tony Orlando.
You were Fat Mickey?
Little fat, chubby Mickey is, because I was always had a weight problem. I was a fat kid. And he goes, you're Tony Orlando? Mickey is Tony Orlando?
Wow.
I said, but Joe, I had Halfway to Paradise. No, you told me you were Mickey. My brother knew Halfway to Paradise. I didn't know what Halfway to Paradise was. I didn't even know what it was. Wow. So he wrote it in his book.
Yeah.
He was shocked that I became, that young kid that he became friends with, became Tony Orlando and Dawn.
What a story.
You know? Crazy.
Wow. So the 770 show, let me just let this show that Tony backed into, I pulled some of the guests, as he said, Adam Sandler, Lionel Richie. How about this? This is going back to when I was a kid. I grew up, my mother was old-fashioned Italian, neighborhood person, right out of Central Casting. You know, she never really liked to go out of the neighborhood, never liked to travel that much. I remember she went on a plane the first time was when she was older in life. She just, not what you do. You grow up poor in the Bronx in tenement buildings, and this is the way it was. So, but looking at this, this is the stuff that she used to have on. That's why I know doo-wop. I know the oldies. I've been to tons of shows with my mom. Got to take her to a lot of shows with Teddy Atlas, by the way. The last one we went to, and when my mom was here, I went with Teddy and his wife, my mom and my aunt, who lived all in the Bronx together, her sister. We went to go to a show. It was the lead singers of every single show, of every single group, like the Shirelles. It had to be the lead singer of the Shirelles. It was Larry Chance of the Earls. Larry Chance, my cousin Bobby's the drummer. Bobby Trebuzio is a drummer for the Earls for 48 years. So we went and we've seen all these groups. I absolutely love it. That's why when you say the Tokens, of course, Teddy loves the Tokens. He loves that song, Lion Sleeps Tonight. So of course I know that. Let's finish with this list, though. This is just some of the list. Connie Francis, Larry Chance from the Earls. How about Neil Sedaka, Joey Fatone, Priscilla Presley. I love Elvis. I'm a giant Elvis fan. My dad was a hard-working. We come from a very hard-working blue-collar family. Some of my background, we didn't have money for college when I wanted to go. We just didn't have money for it, so I just wound up working. Thank God. Thank God. Thank God. So, see how you back into things?
Yeah.
You really do. I was a street kid. I was detailing cars for a living, selling mausoleum plots on the side, and you just back into things. That's exactly what happened.
Absolutely.
And like I said, but my dad wanted to go to Graceland. And hardworking guy, his whole life, mom and dad. And I started making money about 30 years ago in the 90s. Started making some decent money. Late 90s, started making some really good money where I could do things for my mom and dad and pay off a lot of things and take care of them. And they wanted to go to Graceland. So I went to Graceland with them. I don't know Elvis. I know who he is, and I became a giant fan that day.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was buried in the backyard.
Yeah, and so is his family.
I didn't know that.
The whole family's
in the backyard.
It's him, his mom,
Graceland?
his dad, his grandmother.
They're all there.
They're all there, and of course me.
And Joe Esposito is there too.
Oh, really? Joe Esposito. I met Joe. I got to meet him in life too. It was
his road manager.
His road manager. He was with him everywhere. Met him in Germany, and they wound up being together.
Right.
I know everything. I'm a freak when it comes to YouTube at night. I watch documentary things. I can't watch nothing fake. I can't watch any shows that are on. Everything I watch has to be 100% real.
Did you happen to hear the Priscilla interview at all?
So now I see that. I just seen it last night.
Right.
So it's
pretty unbelievable.
Wow.
Well,
Priscilla Presley.
The Priscilla Presley interview was very revealing because I asked her what it was like when the Beatles came to Elvis's house. What was going through Elvis's mind? And she said he was worried. He was very concerned. She says this on the air. She says, he was human. And he said to me, we got problems. This is a whole new thing happening, and we're not going to be on the air.
Wow.
He was very concerned. So in a way, there was a kind of strain when they came in.
Wow.
Because he had that fear. They didn't know that.
Yeah.
And so there was an awkward feeling there for a moment. But then they ended up singing together and playing together. And they had a great night together, the Beatles and Elvis.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So will you tell? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I'm just the rest of the list real quick. That these are just some: Crystal Gale, Joe Piscopo, fellow Jersey guy, Neil Sedaka, Paul Anka, Jose Feliciano, Frankie Valli, Engelbert Humperdinck, Bobby Vinton, Debbie Boone, Garth Brooks, and Trisha Yearwood. Giant people. Did a special on Bobby Darin. Bobby Darin. My mother's, people, how you know where you were when someone passes away. Like when and you see how I do the touchy and feely things too.
Please
they
do.
come right back. You did it, I did it. They come right back. I can't help it. The talk with the hands, it got to happen. You do it. So
that's why you're great. Go ahead.
Bobby Darin, though, when he died, my mother said, I pulled over the car and I started crying. I loved Bobby Darin.
I have a story for you for that.
Oh, really?
For
That's
your
what
mom.
she said. Yeah, that's what she said to me. She said, I pulled over. Like people did it with President Kennedy. My mother did it with Bobby Darin. Pulled over, started crying. He was from the Bronx. Everything. This is a great, legendary guy of all different things. Not just, people just think he has a couple of, he was crossed all different kind of music
First
types.
of all,
actor.
He won 2 Academy Award nominations.
There you go.
For dramatic acting.
There you go. Yep.
Bobby Darin?
Yep.
Bobby Darin.
There you go.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
He was the first singer-songwriter that had prolific songwriting, okay? He was probably, Sammy Davis said, the only guy I won't follow is Bobby Darin.
Wow.
Sammy Davis.
Oh, yeah.
That's how good Bobby was. He played 12 instruments. He tap danced. He did stand-up comedy. He did impressions. He was the most multi-talented person ever. Bobby Darin was my idol and became a mentor. And when Bobby died, just before his passing, this is the truth. I don't know if I ever told you this, John. I'm on Sunset Boulevard with Bobby Rosario, who was Bobby Darin's musical director. He says to me, Bobby is in bad shape with his heart. He was supposed to die at 20.
When he was a
now
kid.
in his 30s.
Right, yeah.
He goes, I think he's going to quit the business, and I'd like to conduct for you, A car pulls up and beeps the horn, and it's Bobby on Sunset Boulevard. And he's telling us to pull over.
Unbelievable.
He pulls over. He comes out of the car, and he says, Tony, I got to tell you something. Now remember, Bobby Darin, go back to Don Kirshner. They were best friends, and Donnie was his first manager. Don Kirshner was Bobby's first manager. Bobby says to Bob Rosario, his musical director, I'm not going to make it. I've stopped all my medication. They're telling me that I have to quit. If I have to quit, I don't want to live.
Wow.
Okay? He says, I want you, Bobby, to become Tony's musical director. I want the rhythm section. I'm bequeathing my rhythm section to Tony. Tony's record of Tie Yellow Ribbon is going to be his Mac the Knife. I want you not to let him down. He's my boy.
Wow.
Bob Rosario and Bobby Darin's conductor and his rhythm section, my idol, bequeaths his entire structure musically to me. So, we go on the road. Bobby stops working. And I'm in New Orleans, Roosevelt Hotel. We work in the blue room. I can't remember. I'm remembering this. I turn on the radio. Bobby Darin dead at 38.
38. Wow.
I go, oh my God. I got to go tell Bobby Rosario this. I run down to Bobby's room and I could hear him wailing.
Wow.
In his room. So I don't knock on the door and I don't say anything to him. And we had to go on that night. It was the toughest night I ever had in my life, was to go on after that. But I was with Bobby Darin's band, man.
Jesus. Right.
We kicked ass that night because I had Bobby Darin. They weren't going to let him down now.
Right.
That night they played like I never heard them play.
You know, when I think of you, watching you when I was little, my favorite section of the show was when you covered like the Bobby Darin songs. I used to love that. Like even to this day, like when I think of like watching you when I was little, like I think of you doing Lazy River and all those kind of songs.
I can't believe you remember that, John. Oh, yeah. Because, you know, he was the teacher, really. He was the guy that I wanted to. But let me go to Elvis for a minute. Okay. Because you're such a big Elvis fan. So Elvis went to work in the 70s with a guy named Chips Moman, who produced all of his hits in the 70s, right? Not only did he produce Elvis, he produced The Highwaymen, so that's Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings, Elvis, right? Chris Christopherson. So Elvis dies. And I'm down cutting an album with Chips Moman. This is a story you're going to love about dedication and commitment and loyalty. So in comes these people from the record company, and they interrupt our session. And so Chips says, Chips was like very much like Dane, you know. What can I do for you, boys? Anything I can do for you? What's up? They said, well, we'll like to offer you $1 million for all of Elvis's outtakes. Chips said, $1 million? Yes, sir. We'll give it to you, a check right now. He said, is that right? I'll be right down. And I'm sitting there with Tony Wine, who now plays keyboards for me, his wife, and my friend of 60 years. I don't know what Chips is doing. He goes up, he comes down, boxes up to his head, carries them down, goes outside, goes back up for another box, comes out again. He goes, $1 million, is that what you said? Yeah. Come with me, boys. Takes him outside, takes a can of kerosene, pours the kerosene on the tapes, lights a match and says, no one's going to hear Elvis's outtakes.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
And burns the tapes. He says, go F yourself with your $1 million.
Wow.
So I said, Chips, that was unbelievable. I mean, that was unbelievable. You just turned down $1 million. He said, Tony, they were just boxes. I still have the tapes.
Right, okay.
I wasn't going to give them the tapes.
Wow.
No one's going to hear him curse. No one's going to hear him maybe sing out of tune for a moment.
Right.
Because he had perfect pitch, Elvis. But when you put phones on, it's another story. You know, you don't hear as well. Sometimes you have to take one off, one on. The band is too loud, wrong echo, whatever. No one's going to ever hear that. Now, I said to Tony Wine, Tony, I was great that he kept the tapes and burned the boxes. She goes, no, he burned the tapes.
Oh, really?
He burned the tapes.
Oh, wow.
He just said to me, oh, no, man, I wouldn't do that. Those were boxes. Years after he passed away, I said, that was unbelievable. That was so cool. She goes, no. He burned the tapes.
Wow. Wow, no one was going to hear him like that.
So I said, well, why would he tell me that? He says, he didn't want you to think he was stupid.
Oh, wow.
But he burned the tapes. That's a loyal friend.
Yeah.
That really is. What a great thing. My God.
And Elvis sent me a letter when I was 16 years old that he had Halfway to Paradise in his jukebox, right? So I, through the years, lost the letter. It was a note.
Sure.
I love your song, Halfway to Paradise, Elvis, blah, 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 blah. It's 1961. So I have Priscilla on the phone. I said, this is my chance, right? Now I'm going to ask her. I said, Priscilla, I want to ask you something about Elvis. Is it true that he had Halfway to Paradise in his jukebox? She said, not only is it true, he would go to the piano and often at the house and he would sing it. I said, wait a minute. He really had it in the jukebox? She goes, always was one of his favorite songs, Tony.
Wow. He was singing your song.
My
Just
song.
think about that.
And I was only 16 at the time.
Wow. And what's your experiences with Elvis over life? Were you with him out?
Oh, I would follow him. I worked the Hilton here.
Okay.
And he worked, I was there 12 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
Was it the International back then or no?
No, was it
was the Hilton?
Hilton was International, then became the Hilton.
Right.
Yeah, Las Vegas Hilton. It became that.
I never knew it was ever called the International.
Yeah.
It opened as that.
It opened as the International.
A hard hat with Elvis.
It opened up as the International, and Barbara Streisand was supposed to open it.
That's right.
And she canceled and didn't do it, but it became the Hilton, Las Vegas Hilton. When I first worked it, and this was the first time I met Elvis, he was in the main room and I was in the lounge. And the lounge, believe it or not, the Hilton at that time was 600-seater. Isn't that insane?
Yeah.
It was a 600-seater. So I would start at 7, do an hour. Kenny Rogers would come on at 9, do an hour. I would go off. He would come on.
Wow.
And we would flip-flop through the night all the way till the next morning.
It's like 3 a.m. or something, right?
Till 6 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
So you know what it's like when the sunlight comes in. Yeah.
Sure.
One time, I had one person in the audience, and the guy was asleep at the table. He was an usher at the table, like this, because I had nobody. So I played to this one guy, had fun with it and all. Elvis hears about it. I had never met Elvis. So one of the shows, I had about 300, half a house. And it was with Dawn. It was Tony Lando. But we were just called Dawn then. And I sense a white movement into my and I look over, and it's Elvis walking towards me after his show. Beautiful man, handsome like you can't believe, a Greek god, man. All white shirt, white pants, white shoes, black hair, tanned, forget it. Drop dead gorgeous guy.
Oh, yeah.
And he's walking towards me. And he walks up to the mic and goes, hello, everybody. Thank you very much. Now he walks to my left, and he doesn't know that there is no exit to my left. It's a bar. Now he goes, he's stuck in the bar. And I go, okay, baby, come on. I got you now. You're not going to stop and keep walking down. And he walked up to me, and I said, thank you for coming. He says, you had 600 people tonight. He said, from now on, you're going to be sold out when they hear about I'm coming every night. So the word got out that he was showing up at my show, which often Sinatra would do. Yep. It was a common thing in this town. We did not have a show where there wasn't 600 people. And I would say, you never know when Elvis is going to show up. He might show up any moment. Of course, he never did.
Right.
Just that one time.
That one time.
So we became friends after that.
Wow.
And so I went to the main room, and very often, that's where I met Sammy Shore, because he opened for Elvis.
Paulie's dad, for those of you listening, you youngsters out there, like Travis.
Yeah. Travis, these are old stories, but if you call your grandmother, she's going to be impressed.
My mom would be impressed.
But there you go. There you go. So we became friends, and we became dressing room friends. That's what I called it. We were never hung out. But every time I would come in, if he was coming, and I got him his doctor, Dr. Ganem, who, by the way, you know from the fight game.
I do. Elias Ganem. I know his son. I know Dr.
Do you know that he was my mother's doctor?
Really?
And do you know how I met Dr. Ganem and how Elvis met him?
Oh.
Sunrise Hospital. I got the flu. Bad. I'm working the Hilton. I go and I meet this young intern, Elias Ganem.
Yep.
He takes care of me. I get on stage. I finish the engagement. Elvis comes in. I said, listen to me, man. If you get sick, you take this number and you call Dr. Elias Gaddam. He's right here. He's awesome.
That's how Elvis got him?
That's how Elvis got him.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
He wound up gifting Elvis wound up gifting him one of his cars. He lived up at Red Rock Country Club, and it was his doctor. It was his doctor
and it was my mom's doctor as well.
Wow.
And by the way, did you know that you met Bill once before? You met Bill about, 20 years? When was it?
Yeah. No, I said it earlier.
Oh, you did? Oh.
Yeah. We went over, I at the airport. I ran into but I did see him a second time. I did meet him a second time, but you wouldn't.
But
was I a gentleman?
Did you tell him? Well, tell him what made you know he was a good guy.
About his mom at the airport. I don't know what.
No, the tipping.
Oh yeah, tipping money. I said, this guy, because he knows how to tip money. A lot of entertainers and stuff. I mean, you can be all you want here, this and that, but you were hitting the hip, taking the cash out, taking the scuttle out, paying the guy.
Biggest mistake I ever made in my life.
Yeah, I'm a tipper too, though. I'm a bad tipper. Like I've.
Oh, when you add up all the money from tip, like the over tipping, over tipping.
I over tipped because I didn't want anybody to think I was a cheap skate.
It would have hit the news.
Right. Yeah.
And
come on in.
Yeah, I didn't want anybody to think for a second that I was a cheapskate. It was embarrassing to do that.
Right.
But when I look back on it now,
right,
it wasn't a cool thing to do. It was a cool thing to tip properly. Right. But I never tipped properly.
You went above and beyond.
Now I still tip above and beyond because I think to myself, that guy's working for tips.
That's the way I look. I worked for tips, so that's why.
So now I say to myself, no, this guy's not getting a salary. I got to pay him, to live, really.
Sure.
Like just now with the Uber driver, right?
Yeah.
You're not supposed to drop. I understand, right? I couldn't get out of that car without giving him something,
Sure. I tip the Uber guy. I always give him something extra.
You have to,
Yeah.
So, but I think
that's all right. That makes you a good person. You helped a lot of people.
I think it's a good thing as a person. But when I think about what I could have saved, I learned from Chris Angel. Who taught me a great thing. He said, Tony, it's not how much you make. I learned this from my father. It's not how much you make. It's how much you save. It's not how much the house costs. It's about how much you can sell it for. If I would have understood those two simple facts early, I'd have saved a lot of money that really should have been saved for my wife, my children, my family.
Sure.
And I never thought that way. I never, ever thought money. Money was never important to me. Still isn't. The truth of the matter is, I walk on a stage, I don't care what I get paid.
Right.
I worked for people for I do shows for veterans for nothing. John will tell you that.
Yeah.
I seen it on your Twitter page. Very patriotic.
Yeah. Well, since 1973, the first time I ever did a show for the military was to welcome home our POWs from Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos with Bob Hope, and I reunion with them for 48 straight years.
Wow.
In back in the 70s, did most of the money you made, was that from the show or was it from touring because of the show?
Here's the crazy thing about that, John. Now that you're in business, you'll understand this. In the 70s, we were because the amount of money we were earning, we were in the 90% tax bracket.
That's just great. Make $1 million, pay $900,000 in taxes?
I never heard 90%. I thought it was like 60%.
No.
Wow.
90%.
He's like, trust me, I lived it.
Yeah, we were in a 90% tax bracket.
That's criminal.
And one of the reasons why you see a lot of guys still working, people say, what do you have to work for? You made all those hit records. Why do you have to? Because we didn't make that much money. By the time you paid 10% to your agency, you paid 10% to your manager, you paid the overhead that you needed for your band, the salaries, you paid 90% on your dollar to the taxes, unless you had a tax guy who could cheat and know how to cheat. I had a guy who didn't believe in cheating taxes. Okay, so I was never pulled in for a tax thing.
Audit. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. So all those years, I paid my taxes 90%. Imagine that. You make $1, 90 cents goes to the government. Then when Reagan became president, it came down to 33 1/3. That was a life-changing thing.
Right.
Okay? But during the 70s,
wow,
we weren't making... Can you imagine you get rappers, they go in, They cut the record in their own house. They have no band expenses. They have no overhead. There's no orchestra to pay, no studio time. They do it right in their own house. They do boom, 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 and they're hitting it with their finger on the synthesizer. They're recording it on their little recording thing that your buddy over there could do for you in your own home. And now you make records and you have nobody to pay.
Wow. That's why, like Dr. Dre and these guys are billionaires.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Truthfully.
Kanye West.
Like on the TV show, like what did you make? Is that thousands every week? What was it back then? Do you remember?
Yeah, I do. I was making $15,000 a week. Now think of that. No money.
Compared to today, like Seinfeld's like a million,
wait,
5 million an episode.
But $15,000. They said, well, that in those days, 90% tax bracket, guys. Right. Now, Cher and Sonny, they were hotter than us. They were making, I think, $25,000 a week. Okay? But that show allowed me to go on the road and work at the Hilton and the Riviera for $175,000 a week, 20 weeks a year.
But you still had to pay all your band and everything.
I had to pay your band, not the rooms in the hotel because they took care of it. Had to pay your band. But we were making
20 weeks just in Vegas.
Just in Vegas.
Wow.
So we were making a lot of money in Vegas, 90% tax bracket or no.
Right.
So John doesn't even know this part of the story because he loves that house that he was raised in Brentwood. Okay? So I buy that house for $475,000. My accountant says to me, you can't buy that house, man. You can't afford $475,000 for the house. I said, listen to me. And I was living in the O.J. Simpson house. That was my house. So I was now getting it to sell to O.J., and I was going to move across the street from O.J. for $475,000 house. That was in 1978. 1983, his mother and I break up. Great lady, but we break up. And we're married 18 years, and we break up. 1983, I sell that same house for $2.6 million from 78 to 83. Do the math. How many years is that, okay? That house just sold. No.
Huh.
It's up for sale right now for $23 million, Jono.
Damn.
Wow.
That hurts me, Bill.
That's unbelievable.
Bill, that
hurts you.
It hurts me.
Hurts you. Hurts you. I bought it and sold it. I thought I made a killing in 83.
Man.
I thought you did good too.
Yeah.
Sold it for $2.5.
Right?
I think you did really
so
good.
his mom got half of that. I got half of that because that was the, you split it in a divorce. So I go back and there's this guy. I don't know if I ever told you this, Jono, because I know you love that house, with Franny, who I've been married now to for 31 years. And I'm showing her the house, which I would do often.
Yep.
And I see this guy standing out in front of the house from India. And I pull up and I said, I used to live here. I go, oh, you're Tony Orlando. I go, yeah. You lived here? He said, yeah. I want to show you what I do to the house. Come on in.
Oh, wow.
So I go in. And
what year is this, Tony? What year is this?
This is
ballpark.
About 10 years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
About 10 years ago.
Okay.
So I go in, and he doesn't do anything to the house. I said, this is the same house. He said, what do you pay for this house? I look at the guy, and I go, I
can't even tell you.
I can't tell you. He goes, no, come on, tell me how much you pay for the house. I said, I'll tell you how much I paid for the house after you tell me how much you paid for the house. He says, I paid the house $15 million.
Wow.
I go, I'm not telling you. I can't. I don't have my heart to tell you. He goes, $5 million? I said, no. No? What year? I said, 1983.
No, 77 you bought it.
When I sold it.
Oh, when you sold it.
They go, how much you get for it? I said, I got $2.6 million. Oh, you did? How much you pay for it? I can't tell you. You got to tell me. I said, $475,000. He was the closest person I've ever seen to an epileptic seizure.
Wow.
He literally, I could see him shaking, and especially when I said, "You've done nothing to this house."
Right.
And he did nothing.
Wow.
Now the new person that bought the house, the swimming pool is no longer the swimming pool. It's a lap pool, right? Mm-hmm. The guest house, which was a 2,500 square foot guest house. Think of that. The guest house was 2,500
bigger than most
feet,
houses.
Right?
Yeah.
That became a tennis court.
Oh, they took down the guest house.
They took down the guest house, became a tennis court. And the saddest part about it is we had these incredible oak trees that were right behind the wall. And I built the wall around the house. I don't know if you know this, but I got the guy that built the house was friends with Stallone. That's how I found the guy, the plumber guy.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, he built the wall.
Frank the plumber.
Frank the plumber.
I remember that. I was little. Frank the plumber.
Yeah.
Got it.
It's like a vault, Bill. I got it all in here.
Good.
And that house was, John would always say to me, I'm going to make it in this business. I'm going to buy that house. I don't think now he's going to talk about
It's not going to happen.
But this area.
Wait a minute. You never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
We're going to spend elsewhere. Yeah, it's just too much.
That's right. So what do? It's not how much you buy it for.
Right.
It's how much you sell it for.
Yeah.
Did this area of inflation, did it outgrow inflation? The numbers don't sound right to me.
Yeah.
Was this area not in demand when you had it, and now it is?
Wait a minute. $475,000 to my accountant was a lot of money.
He didn't want you to buy it.
Yeah.
He didn't want me to buy it.
Wow. Okay.
And you paid cash, right? Do you know?
No.
No?
No. I paid cash for the house in Palm Springs that your grandparents lived in, too. No.
At what point during all of that were you like, wow, I made it? Like, I've got a ton of money.
Never.
Never?
Wow.
I was always told I was broke.
Really?
Accountants always told you that?
So help me God, John. I was always, and it was always because of income tax now.
Right.
I had to sell that house to pay back income tax money, and I had to sell that condo to send that. It was always, well, you guys are the tax guys. Why am I having this? It's just bullshit, really.
Right.
You know, and people think you think they care,
Right.
but they don't care. That's why you have to care about yourself, because they'll tell you till you're blue in the face, oh, I'll take care of it. You got to do it yourself. If you start doing it and letting other people do it and not take responsibility for yourself, you're going to get killed like I did. Right. And John can tell you that I saved a few $1 million and was ripped off by an accountant. He's the one that discovered that and took all of my money.
Jesus. Yeah.
So the truth, and Billy Joel's brother-in-law got him for $40 million.
He went broke.
Brother-in-law.
Yeah.
Brother-in-law.
He took all his money.
$40 million.
This is like right before The Stranger came out. Right after The Stranger came out, literally was worth nothing.
Yeah.
You're right.
It was unbelievable. And so it's a very common story with people who don't understand it's about saving your money. It's that simple. It's not
bankroll management. It's what he talks about. I know
talk
it's
about
different,
when
but
it comes to spending, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous. I have no value on money. I'm the street kid. I don't know anything.
Me too.
I spend my money. If I want something, I get it. I go
now, here's the thing.
Spend it.
Here's the thing. This you're going to get mad at me about now. I don't regret it. I had a millionaire's life.
Right.
He had the best baseball seats Dodger Stadium could ever own for 18 straight years. We traveled all around the world. We had the greatest vacations you could possibly imagine. We went to Tahoe. We went to Hawaii. We didn't care about, we tipped, as you said. We went, and we lived life. And you know what? There's another side to the coin. And the other side to the coin is when you get to 77 years old, you say to yourself, okay, I'd like to leave a lot for my children. I haven't been able to do that because of the circumstances we've just described. But I gave them a good life. Mm-hmm. They had a good life. They never wanted. They always saw things most children never see. Based on that, they've grown up to be good people. Jono has grown up to be a great guy. I'm so proud of him. My daughter, Jenny, she's an angel. 2 kids that God's blessed me with have been unbelievable. I'm blessed with an amazing wife who he loves, and she loves him like she's his blood, to be honest with you. And has made the call to continue to be a good friend to Elaine, who was a good mother to him.
Sure.
So when I look back on it, I can't take it with me. I can't take it to my grave. It's true, I can't hand over millions and millions of dollars to my offspring, but they never wanted for naught, and they lived like millionaires. And they learned to be dreamers. They learned to go for it. They learned, I look at this studio and I think to myself, look at my son, what he's done here. Look what he's providing jobs for people. Look at what he's doing here. He's entrepreneuring. And that entrepreneurship, I really believe, came from him seeing things, not just his father, but people in the neighborhood, his friend's father, how they did it, and how all that stuff becomes in your blood. And so I don't have I really have no regrets at all about anything that I did that was a mistake. The most important thing was I never went to jail. I never hurt anybody. I've protected my reputation. I think I have a good one. And my family loves me.
Yeah. Things that money can't buy.
Can't buy.
Yeah.
You know. So that picture you showed me of my mom and I says it all.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. We've been doing the show now, about a year or maybe a little more?
Oh, yeah.
And we've had, we have like Ozzie Smith on, and then when the show's over, we're like, can you believe we just had Ozzie Smith on? And it's like, wow, like our show's arrived. Or like we had Marcus Allen or Warren Moon or Teddy Atlas, right? We've had these cool people. And it like makes us feel, I don't know about you, but it's like you go like,
definitely.
wow,
When
like
we're done,
our show got there.
I pinched myself.
What are your wow, I got there moments? Like when you met Sinatra and he knew who you were, or like what is it that
was my next guy to talk about.
I have one got there moment.
Wow.
One. I don't know how much time we have.
Go. We got plenty of time.
Because I've been talking.
Travis doesn't care. He has no curfew. When's your bedtime? He's all good.
No, we're
2
good.
o'clock.
Okay.
This was the one time I felt like I made it. So I'm doing a movie with Adam called That's My Boy. And I'm in Hyannisport, Massachusetts.
Oh.
And I'm coming to the end of the shoot, and it's a Saturday. You know where I'm going with this?
Yeah,
John?
yeah.
Okay. That was the moment for me.
Really?
Yeah. I get a call, and I hear this voice. It's a female voice, and she said, "Hi, this is your sweetheart." I said, okay. Who is this? Come on. You know who your sweetheart is. I said, no, stop playing with me. Who is this, really? She goes, this is Ethel Kennedy. I said, no. Ethel Kennedy, my wife, Franny, and I met prior to that with Arnold Schwarzenegger's wife, who's a Kennedy.
Maria Shriver.
At a party at their house. And she took a liking to Franny and had Franny's hand for the whole night that night, my wife. Okay. So I go, oh, my God, Mrs. Kennedy. Nope, you can't call me Mrs. Kennedy. I'm your sweetheart. You called me sweetheart that night, and that's my name.
Wow.
I said, I can't call you sweetheart. She goes, oh, yes, I can. I can't call you. I said, well, you can't do that. Okay, well, I'm going to hang up. But before I hang up, are you working tomorrow? I said, no. She goes, Sunday, you're not working? No. Would you like to go sailing with us? So, of course, sailing with the Kennedys is historical.
Sure.
I said, so you're telling me, asking me if I want to go sailing with the Kennedys? I'm going to turn it down. Of course not. I'd love to go sailing. Okay, be it. You know where we live? I said, I'll find out where you live. You're all over the place. I'll find you. She goes, okay. When you get here, just come up to the front door, open the door, and just yell out my name, sweetheart, and I'll be right down. Okay. Next morning, it's torrential rain. I can hear it banging off the thing. The phone rings. Tony, it's sweetheart. Yeah, you're looking at the weather? I said, it's okay, Mrs. No. We're going to have a brunch for you today. Come over. Now, I'm on my way, and I pull up to the Kennedy compound. If anybody grew up with loving the Kennedys and knowing that assassination as I did, John's mother and I bought a ticket to go to the end of the line to see him in the rotunda when he was held in the rotunda in the middle of a cold winter night. I get in the car, and I go to the Kennedy's compound. And I walk up to the front door. And I think, I can't just open this door. And first, what shocked me was there was no wall like where we lived. We had a wall. We had a gate. Shit, man. We were like, forget it. No, a picket fence around the Kennedy compound. That's what's there. No security. Wow. Nothing. A picket fence. I open a picture. I go to the front door. I wait. I finally open the door. I go, sweetheart. She says, I'll be right down. And down comes this 4'1", whatever, tiny little energetic dynamite person comes walking down the stairs. It's Ethel Kennedy. She stops at the bottom of the stairs. She says, see where you're standing? That TV, that's where John and Jackie and me and Bobby waited for the votes to come in when he became president.
Wow.
Now I go, I don't believe this is happening to me. I love John Kennedy. I'm in his house where he grew up, the Kennedy compound. They're having brunch for me. I walk in, and the whole family walks in. Caroline walks in. Bobby Jr. walks in. Teddy's kids walk in. Teddy's wife, Kiki, walks in. They're all in. Now they're sitting around, and Mrs. Kennedy goes like this. Sweetheart goes like this. Hey, everybody, let's sing Candida. Oh, my Candida, we could make it together.
Wow.
And they're all singing Candida. I'm sitting there going, no one's seeing this.
Right. No
John's
one's
not seeing it.
Right.
Jenny's not seeing it. My mom's not seeing it. Franny's not seeing it. No one's seeing this. I'm going, oh, my God. Then she finished the song. I go, oh, thank you. I said, this is incredible. She goes, we're not done. Let's do tie a yellow ribbon round the... And she starts to sing it. And, of course, she's the boss.
Yeah.
Everybody sings with her. It was that day when I went back to my hotel room, I said, I made it.
Wow.
No.
I really made it.
You looked up to
They were giving me a meal to celebrate my music, my records. It was the Kennedy family. It was Sweetheart and all of the grandchildren.
Wow.
And the kids. Bobby Kennedy Jr. was there. That was, to me, even though I've worked already the White House state dinners for presidents, that moment to be with that family, knowing that I, with his mom, had a check that we knew was going to bounce, got on Eastern Airlines and flew and said to the people, the cab driver, take me to the end of the line. We did not know that the end of the line was 5 miles away from the rotunda, okay? It was 3 degrees that night. We were literally shaking so cold, and we never made it. By the time morning came, they already moved him out, and they took him to Arlington Cemetery. We never made it. We never made it. But that, if there's any one time, it was never a show, John. It was never a superstar that I worked with.
Wow.
I was never Elvis. It was never any of that. It was never working Broadway. It was never working the Hilton. It was never seeing, you were with me with 80,000 people out there. It was never any of that. It was never the TV show, because those things that happened to me was in the moment, right? It was, I'm working. I'm just working.
Yeah.
I'm just doing this show like we're doing this show. But to be in that moment with Ethel Kennedy, those assassinations,
Yeah.
John Kennedy,
Oh, yeah.
Bobby Kennedy. I just watched on YouTube last night don't even know why. I saw Assassination of Bobby Kennedy, and I see Ethel, so young, talking to her Bobby, who's laying there shot with a bullet in his head. And I thought, that's the same sweetheart.
Yep.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I love YouTube. I love you could see something like that. I didn't even know that was on there. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a great, what a great way to end our show even. But I'm not ending it yet.
Yeah, don't end yet.
Because I have something else.
Oh, what do you got?
I have something else here. I'm sure you guys have all seen this, but this is big for me, as you can see.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to take you to this is the...
Is that Gleason?
The great Jackie Gleason.
Is this your show?
Yep.
This is your first show then, right?
First
This
show.
is the great Jackie Gleason.
How do you find these
And
clips?
I'm a giant Jackie Gleason
Me too.
fan. So when I watched this whole show, by the way, they're on
I have
there.
not seen this. Where did you get that?
They're all on YouTube.
I looked for that on YouTube. I can't find it.
Yeah, I'll show you how my little secret thing there. But
Wow.
look, just look at him though. He's unbelievable.
Yeah.
With the girls.
Now, there was a story behind having him on, right? Or do you not want to tell it? Or
I could tell it, but it's another long
Go
story.
ahead. We're
Go
gonna
ahead.
make.
I don't
make it
do
two
shortcuts.
we're gonna
We'll make it two
break this
shows
up
out
into
of it.
2 shows. This is next week's show also.
Okay.
We're doing part 1.
And I
and
thought
2.
of Gleason before you tell your story. I thought of Gleason one before he was saying
Yeah.
about my kids lived like that. We lived like millionaires. I thought of Gleason because I was a Honeymooners fan. I grew up with Honeymooners. I thought of the one
too.
with the you know them all 39 then with the funny money when he finds the 50,000 on the bus. He brings it home. He opens it up, and there's $50,000. And now he changes his attire. And at the end, when they find out the money's fake, Alice is mad at him, of course, and sitting at the table. And he's in back of her, going back and forth. And he said, "I was a millionaire for a day. It's more than anyone else in this dump can say. I spent it. I had it, and I spent
There
it.
you go.
I went with it.
That's it.
Easy come, easy go. And if anyone knew I had it, they can have it." And that's why I love Gleason. When he was with you there, I just said, "Oh my God, this is unbelievable seeing Jackie Gleason." But go ahead, you can tell yours, of course.
It's a tough story, though.
Yeah. Okay.
It's going to upset him, right?
No, go ahead. I'm good.
It's going to upset
I'm
you.
a tough guy today.
You sure?
Yeah. Yep.
So, Freddie Silverman said to me, "Who would you like to have on the show more than anybody?" I said, "Jackie Gleason." He goes, "Oh, I don't know about getting Jackie Gleason. He doesn't do shows." I get a call. Jackie's accepted. We paid him $25,000. Now, they were bragging like that's a lot of money, okay? Today, it's bupkis money.
Right.
So, Jackie comes in for the rehearsal, which he does not rehearse.
Not a rehearse guy. Absolutely right, Tony.
So I'm two chairs in the theater behind him, and Thelma and Joyce are rehearsing one of their songs. And he's sitting with some guy next to him who would light his cigarettes for him every 5 minutes. That's all he would. That was his job. He'd take out a pack of cigarettes, push up the cigarettes, out the cigarette gun. The guy would light it, and Jackie would smoke it. Pal. I'm nervous to meet him. And I hear him say, "Who are these two this amateur night in Dixie?"
Wow. Wow.
Now, for those of you who may not know what the word means in Yiddish, it's the N word in Yiddish. Now, what I'm about to share with you has a happy ending, so stay with me. But to get to the happy ending, if you're a Jackie Gleason fan, you're going to be disappointed, but you're going to be rewarded in the end. And I don't normally say that before I tell this story, but I want Jackie Gleason fans like you to know that, okay? So hang with me. Now, what I did then at 27, I would not do now. I was an asshole about it because my job was to protect Thelma and Joyce. Everywhere I went, it was if there was a racial remark, I had to go to fight for them, and I did literally fight for them. So I hear this, and I'm shocked, and I walk up and I said, "Mr. Gleason, say hello to your amateur night in Dixie." "Yeah, pal, what do you want?" "I want an apology. You don't think those girls know what means? We're in the music business. We know what means. You owe me, but you owe them an apology." He said, "Really? You're talking to Jackie Gleason. I'm out of here." And he gets up and he walks out of the studio. I go back to my dressing room. They call the song down. They shut everything down. In comes Freddie Silverman. Are you out of your mind? Did you know what you just did? He's not coming back. I said, listen, you're Jewish, right? Yeah. I said, would you like it if he said, how about those two up there? Would you accept that? Is that something you would be okay with? He said, you're right. You're right what you did. But it's going to be hard to get him back. But if I get him back, shut up. Just get your first show in. Okay. Gleason comes back.
He came back that night?
Next day for rehearsals.
Next day. Okay.
So there's a song that we learned called I'll Teach You Everything I Know. You may have seen it on that tape. I don't know if they showed that, but and it went like this. I'll teach you everything I know.
It's on there. I watched it last night. It's on there.
And I go, even how sweet it is, I'll teach you. Okay.
It's on there.
Yeah. So the guy with the cigarettes knocks on my dressing room door. He goes, Mr. Orlando, Mr. Gleason would like to see you in the dressing room. Okay. I walk in. This is the first time I'm going to be face to face with him since yesterday. He says, sit down, pal. He said, let's read the cue cards and listen to me. Only the great one ad-libs, no ad-libbing. I said, yes, sir. We do our lines. We get out. We start the song. I'll teach you everything I know. Even how sweet it is. I'll teach you everything I know. Stop the tape. Camera one. Move over to your right. I don't like where you are. Yes, sir, Mr. Gleason, the director says. Audience is sitting there. Second take. I'll teach you everything I know. How sweet it is. I'll teach you everything. Stop the tape. Stop the tape. You move the camera in the middle of the song. Let's start this again. Yes, sir, Mr. Gleason, the director says. Jeff Margolis.
Yeah, sure.
Third time. I'll teach you everything I know. He goes, stop tape. I said, tape is rolling. He looks at me. I said, what is it with you, the great one? You can't ad-lib? You got to stop the tape? And I hear the audience go, ooh.
Wow.
We finish the song. He walks off the stage. Freddie Silverman comes down.
Oh, God.
To my dressing room.
You don't know none of this, right?
I don't know this story.
Oh, wow.
He comes down.
I knew there was a story, but I don't know all this.
He comes down to my dressing room.
I got it out of him.
He goes, what are you doing? Are you out of your mind? Are you crazy? This is the great Jackie Gleason. I said, listen, I don't give a shit who he is. The guy won't apologize. He's up there moving cameras around. Come on, Freddie. Freddie goes, you're going to shut up and you're going to swallow it. Now, I had on the show Nancy. Go to the tape.
Is it on that one? Okay, let's pull it up.
Nancy.
That wasn't the Ruth Buzzy one, right?
No, it's close.
She looked like her to me.
Close, yeah.
But I've seen this lady. I've actually seen.
Oh, she was on many, many shows.
Yeah, I've actually seen her. I'm gonna pull it back up on YouTube. I've seen that lady. You know what? When I seen her on there, I said, I know that lady.
It'll come to me.
Yeah.
It's the age. It's the age. Anyway, she comes into my dressing room and she goes, I'm going to tell you something. I hate this son of a bitch.
Oh, wow.
And I'm going to get him for you before. I said, please, Nancy, don't. I'm going to get him for you. I promise you. The next sketch was Old Grasshopper from that show. Old Great Grasshopper, right? And he was to turn and go, oh, great grasshopper, and hit me on the top of my head. Well, he winds up, Jono, you guys, he comes up with a hand, and he comes up like this. Oh, grasshopper, bam, and hits me. I mean, my eyes rolled. He hit me hard. He nailed me right in my...
Oh, my God.
And Nancy's turn. She goes, oh, great grasshopper. She puts her two hands together. I know she's gonna mangle his head. She gets on her toes and she goes, wham, boom. She hits him in the middle of the sketch. We walk off the stage. We hear, oh, from the audience. Freddie Silverman comes downstairs again. He goes, Tony.
What are you
Tony. Nancy Walker.
Okay, is that this lady here?
Yeah.
Right here?
Yeah. Nancy Walker.
Yeah.
She goes,
This is the three of them on stage.
she's been on TV commercials.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
Right.
seen her
Of
on a lot
course.
of
Of course. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So she's laughing. Oh, boy, what I did. And Freddie says, you guys, stop. Show's over. At the end of my shows, I always brought out the guests to take a bow for the audience, not photographed, just for the audience.
Yeah.
So this time, we were going to photograph it because it was our first show.
Right.
So he's standing over there with the cigarettes, and Nancy's over there. Camera rolls. We go. Just as I'm about to say, introduce the great Jackie Gleason, he goes like this to his buddy with the cigarettes. The cigarettes come out. He pushes the cigarettes up, the flunky guy.
Yep.
Jackie takes the cigarette, and the guy hits the cigarette. And I don't know what got into me. As I told you earlier, I would not handle this way.
Right.
So there's 300 people in the studio. He goes to smoke his cigarette, and there's no smoking in the studio. And they go, now, Mr. Gleason, if we can't smoke, because I was a smoker then, you can't smoke, no matter how great you are. He takes the cigarette. The audience goes, bravo, Tony, bravo, right? He takes the cigarette, he breaks the cigarette and throws it to the floor and stomps on it. We finished the show. I go to my dressing room. I said, I'm done.
That was
They're going to fire me.
What a ride.
All of a sudden, there's a knock on the door. It's the cigarette guy. Now, let me describe the cigarette guy to you. He's wearing an ascot, okay? You know what an ascot is?
Sure.
Yep.
He's wearing a plaid jacket with a spotted shirt.
Oh, my God.
Pink, okay?
Right.
Very standoutish.
Yeah.
You're getting an idea what
This
he
is 73. This is 1973.
And he's got this a big handkerchief hanging on. Mr. Gleason would like to see you. I said, yes, sir. I walk in, and I'll never forget this as long as I live. There's Jackie with his back to the door when I walk in, and I hear, to this day I can hear it, the tinkling of the ice in his glass. He's stirring a drink. He says, sit down, pal. I said, yes, sir, Mr. Gleason. I sit down. He goes, is that book for me? It was the script book with his name on it. I said, yes, it is, sir. All right. Open it up to the first page, pal. I said, yes, sir, Mr. Gleason. Read it to me. Dear Tony, I apologize. I was an asshole. Please forgive me, Jackie.
Wow. Huh.
I close the book. I look up at him. He says, you want a drink? I said, yeah. I don't drink.
Right.
It was a gin and tonic. He gave me a gin and tonic. I take the drink. He says to me, I learned something tonight. I said, what's that? He goes, I met my match. You didn't take any shit from me.
Wow.
I said, no. You're the great one. You'll never meet your match. He said, you defended those girls. I respect that. I'm ashamed of myself. I said, no, Mr. Gleason, it's okay. From that day on, we would tape every Friday. Every Thursday night, the night before the show, I would get a call from the makeup room every single Thursday night. Tony, it's Jackie. Hey, Jack, how you doing? I saw the show last week. Why the hell would you wear a silver zipper and a black tuxedo? I said, what? He goes, you don't wear a silver zipper and a black tuxedo. You wear a black zipper so it doesn't look like your zipper's open. For God's sake, be a professional, will you? And he'd hang up.
Wow.
And next week
something
it
else.
would be, that's the worst sketch I ever saw you do. The next time you do. So that all became friends. And the next time I saw him live was here in Vegas. he was doing the movie where he plays the cop with Burt.
The Sting? Wait, no, he's not in The Sting. Yeah. You know, Smokey and the Bandit.
Okay. Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
And it was
course.
done here in Vegas.
Okay.
And I'm working the main room downstairs to a sold-out house, and
Sorry, Cannonball Run.
No,
No,
it was
Smokey and the Bandit?
Smokey and the Bandit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's up on the same floor as my suite.
Yeah.
And he hears me walking past and he left his door open. He goes, "Hey, Tony, is that you?" I said, "Yeah." "Come on in here." I said, "Jackie, I didn't know you were on the same floor." This is the first time I'm seeing him since that night.
Yeah.
So he has the window open. It was summertime, and you could open the windows at the Riviera then. And he's sitting there having a drink. He says, How'd you do tonight?" I said, "We did great." "Really? How many standing ovations did you get?" I said, 3. He goes, "Really?" He said, "I want to show you something. You see that guy in the corner?" I said, "Yeah." He wasn't there. Think about that. All those people out there didn't see that standing ovation. He's teaching me. Don't take it to heart.
Gotcha.
See that guy in the corner?
Right.
He wasn't there.
Interesting.
So it's the next show,
Sure.
and then the next show,
Yep.
and then the next show. He gave me another piece of advice.
Wow.
And I never took a standing ovation seriously. I took it for the moment,
Sure.
but the guy outside at Caesar's Palace
He doesn't
wasn't there.
Yeah.
He didn't see it.
Yeah.
I have to keep working
Sure.
to get him in.
Absolutely.
It's kind of like your line about the baseball players with some of the fans when they're when you're like he doesn't pay your bills. It's like it's sort of on that highway a little bit.
You know, I got a question for the two of you.
Yeah.
Okay. I watched part of the World Series
Yeah.
on my.
Yeah.
I
Let's
have
talk
it
baseball.
where you-
All right.
where you can repeat it, right?
Yeah.
It's gotten to the point now where the World Series is anticlimactic.
Yeah.
I didn't
because
even
the
watch
playoffs are so great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't watch game one
I didn't
yesterday.
watch
I
game
saw the
one.
final score.
I didn't watch it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I was watching it, and I was thinking, there's no excitement to this anymore.
Yeah.
Because to get there is such a gigantic feat.
Right.
To get there, that when you finally get there, you say, okay.
Right. Especially if it's not your team.
I think it hurts the World
Yeah.
Series.
It can hurt him.
Yeah.
Last thing, I got to go into this before we. I know we've been on here so long.
No, we're
guys.
fine. We're fine.
Sorry. I need to know anything about Sinatra or Dean Martin. That's the music that was on in my house all the time. I mean, of course, before that was like Louis Prima and stuff. But I mean, from the happy times. But Sinatra, Dean Martin was always. Played
Sinatra
all
was
holidays.
always great to me.
Was he? Okay.
Sinatra was actually a friend. Dean, I only really spoke to during the roast. I did 2 roasts with him.
Okay.
The Ali roast and his roast. So I never really had a personal relationship with Dean. It was more of like in the show, you know.
Sure.
Frank now, my relationship with Frank ended badly, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
You know that, right?
Yeah.
So what happened was Frank invited Elaine and I down to the house in Palm Springs for a party, and it was a costume party where you had to dress up like a cowboy.
Okay.
And his secretary calls and said, I said, I will be there. So we go, get our cowboy clothes on. And Elaine, in those years, I think she was just intimidated a lot. She was just not sure of herself. And she'd say things to me like, I'm not going the last minute. So that would mean the Academy Awards. She wouldn't go to the Grammy Awards. And it would always be Mr. Orlando and Mrs. Orlando on an empty seat. Oh, she wasn't feeling well. She wasn't feeling well. So I had this big argument with his mom. I can't take it anymore because, and so, who cares? Meanwhile, I don't go to Sinatra's. I know that it's a 2-hour drive. I'm not going to make it. So I call the secretary back. I said, listen, I got a terrible cold. I can't. I feel sick. I think I got the flu. I'm so sorry. I get out of it. Next time I see Frank, 1990, was at a TV show welcoming home the troops from Iraq.
Yep.
And he's there. Every star in the world is on that show. And he's there. And I walk up to Frank and I go, "Hey, Frank," because he was always great to me. "Hey, Frank." I go, he looks at me and he goes, "Don't even start. Okay? I'm done." I said, "What's wrong?" He walks away. I said, "What the hey?" I walk up and go, "Frank, what's wrong?" He said, "Let me tell you something. You don't turn down Frank Sinatra with a lie. I know you went out the next night to dinner.
Wow.
It got back to me. You didn't have the flu. You weren't even a friend enough to call me and say you had a problem, but you had a lie. I'm done with you."
Oh.
Wow.
And he didn't talk to me.
Wow.
Now he dies. I never had it solved. I get a call 7 years later from Barbara Sinatra. "Tony, would you come down and do the Frank Sinatra golf tournament?" Barbara Sinatra. I said, "Oh, sure." When I get there, I tell her the story. She said, "I know what happened." She says, "Tony, he wasn't mad at you. He loved you. You hurt his heart. He was never mad at you." I said, "Well, the reason I never went back to, how do you go back to Frank Sinatra when he says, 'I'm done with you'?"
Right.
She goes, "He was very, very hurt that you did that to him. That was Frank. But I can tell you this, he felt bad that he did it, and he went down loving you."
Wow, good that he went down loving you. Wow, that's really something, you know. That thinking of Frank though, thinking of that old hardcore Italians, they held that they got when they held grudges, man.
But he was right. If I would have just said the truth,
Right,
it would have been better.
Called him and said
Instead, I had a lie. He was absolutely correct.
But your experiences before that, you were with him hanging out, everything was great.
I remember one time when Betty Ford and Gerald Ford's daughter was getting married in Palm Springs. I went to the wedding, went to the church, and Frank was sitting in front of me, right in front. I'll take a couple of quick ones. And Frank's sitting in front of me, and he's on his knees, and he's praying. I mean, he's praying hard for a good 15 minutes. I'm saying to myself, I may be the only one to ever see him on his knees for anybody, right? Because to a lot of people, he was God. Right?
Sure.
And I said to Barbara, I tapped her on the shoulder, and I said, "Man, he can pray, huh?" And she said, "If you lived his life, you'd be praying that hard too."
Wow. Wow.
You know?
So you had good experiences in Palm Springs with him and different places around the country.
What are you talking about? I co-hosted with Frank Sinatra.
Wow.
Right here in Las Vegas.
Telethon?
No.
Oh, okay.
Right here at what was Planet Hollywood, which was the
Aladdin
Hotel.
Yep.
That theater that's there now was not attached to the hotel.
Okay.
It was
right.
It was by
that.
itself.
Sure.
And we used to do fundraisers for UNLV.
Oh, wow.
And he asked me to co-host with him.
Oh, that's nice. I know he was very charitable. You know, I heard.
In my years that I knew Frank before that moment, he was nothing but helpful to me. The first time I went to see him at Harris was with Tommy Lasorda and Billy Martin.
Wow.
Me, Billy Martin, and Tommy Lasorda sitting at Harris watching Sinatra. And this is the truth. He introduces Tommy, and he introduces
Billy.
Billy. Now he comes to me, and he says, "I want to toast a young man who wears the same kind of clothes on stage as I do. He wears a tux and a red handkerchief. That's my kind of guy. Say hello to my friend Tony Orlando." I get up. And after everybody applauds, I stay standing. Now he's on to introduce the next song, and Tommy is pulling on my shirt.
Sit down.
Sit down. And I actually didn't even feel it. I was stunned. And I go, oh yeah, I sat down. He goes, I said, "I can't believe he introduced me like that, like I was his buddy." That's my experiences with Frank before that time. He was supportive. He always included me in what he was doing. The night before I'd open at the Riviera, he'd asked me to come over and have dinner with him at Caesars.
Oh, nice.
With Pat Henry and all of his friends. We'd sit there and have dinner with him. The night that his mom crashed.
Plane crash. Yep.
The plane crash, I was there when he was told. And
he was about to go on, right?
Yeah. And he said to me, I said, now remember, that group was so freaking hot then. Understand?
Tony Lando and Don, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
With the TV show and the hits. We not only sold out, people were clamoring to get in, okay?
Yeah.
And I said, Frank, I said, this is bold of me, but I got my band here. And a lot of these people probably didn't get in to see the show tomorrow night because we're sold out solid. Do you want me to go out and I'll do it. He goes, Tony, thank you. He said, but they came to see Sinatra, and they're going to see Sinatra.
Nice. Wow.
So,
yeah. What a way to go.
So I had a great time with those guys. Jerry, Sammy, Frank.
I seen
Dean.
you with Sammy. I seen the video with Sammy last night.
Yeah.
And I also seen your guy Freddie Prinze.
Yeah.
Come out on the show. I watched the episode. I put time into this.
Jono.
He comes out as you, and then you come out.
Yeah. And Jono was the one who told me that Freddie was shot.
Oh. Wow.
John, my son, was little,
Yeah,
and he got up screaming, Uncle Freddie was shot, got killed, and all this. And I heard it from him first.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Wow.
So much history, right?
Oh, wow. We could do this forever.
Yeah.
And let's give a little plug here, too, now. So you're going to be here in, when December?
He's back in
at
April.
South Point, April?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yep.
And we'll have you on
coming?
again if you don't mind.
Let me apologize to both of you
For
apologize.
talking so
No way. This is what
do
we
you
wanted
mean?
out
That's
of you.
That's what we
This
wanted.
is what we wanted.
I talked without you guys asking me questions.
That's all.
I
No.
just went on. I'm sorry.
No.
about that.
was
The greatest
perfect.
interview you can do for someone is not ask them questions.
Right.
What's going on?
Yeah, no, this was-
we gave you like a little. I asked you questions.
This was perfect. I have a question for you, for both of you. I don't know if you
Yeah.
saw. So, just a little sports, real quick.
Sure.
So, Tom Brady threw touchdown pass number 600.
Yep.
The guy that caught it, the receiver, I forget his name, Michael something. Maybe I can look it up. He always, whenever he catches a touchdown ball, the guy goes and he hands it to a fan.
Looks for a New England fan.
So he hands the ball to a fan. He gets back on the bench, and the coaches are like, what did you just do? That was Brady's 600th. He's the only quarterback ever to throw 600 touchdown passes. And you just gave the ball to a fan.
Right.
So guy's sitting there, you can see the look on his face like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. Like I wasn't thinking, I didn't realize, I didn't know. So they go to the fan, someone from the team goes to the fans like, hey, Tom really wants the ball. We'll get you some stuff, whatever. They estimated the ball was going to be worth about $500,000 to $600,000 today.
The fan gave it right back, though,
The
right?
fan,
right back.
So, well, first he didn't want to give it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's what I thought.
So I only see the video on
first
TV.
he didn't want to give it, and then they went back and they played the, Tom really wants the ball.
Right.
And the guy said, well, I can't say no to Tom Brady, So the guy gives the ball. So I wanted to just read to you
what he got in exchange?
what the guy got in exchange.
Do you know about this, Tony?
No.
Okay.
This is just a couple. This is this past Sunday. So the Buccaneers are giving Byron Kennedy the following for number 600 touchdown football: 2 signed jerseys and a helmet from Tom Brady, a signed Mike Evans jersey, which is the guy that caught the
Mike
ball,
Evans, yep.
and his game cleats, a $1,000 credit at the Buccaneers team store, and 2 season passes for the remainder of this season and next season. Is what the guy got in return, and then Tom
comes in.
Tom comes in and added he gave him a Bitcoin.
He gave him a Bitcoin.
Which is worth like 60 grand or whatever it's worth.
He said, I'm going to give you a Bitcoin. I'm sending you a Bitcoin. So he gave him 60 grand.
But my question to you is, or both of you, and you're friends with Mead Chasky from Mead Chasky Sports, who's big in memorabilia and signings and stuff, is do fans owe it to the like I would give it to the player. But like, do you think the fans, and this guy got a lot in return, obviously, but like, do the fans owe it like out of respect to give back to the player? You're shaking your head, yeah, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm giving it back.
You're not a fan.
He deserves
You can't
that
be
ball.
qualified as a fan.
That's right.
If you
Right.
do that, you qualify as an idiot.
And this guy got a lot more than
This guy got great.
Oh, yeah.
In return.
I mean, there's certain things that don't belong to you.
Right.
That's not yours.
Right.
That's his 600th doesn't belong to you.
Yeah.
You caught the ball great.
Yeah. Or your 500th home run or your 3,000th hit.
It don't belong
or,
to you. There's certain things that just don't belong to you.
Yeah.
That's one of them, you know?
Yeah.
I think the guy was a jerk to even say no to begin with, and very lucky jerk to get paid off the way he did.
Yeah.
They didn't even need to do all of that. They did it because they realized the size of the event and how much that would have meant based on what you just told me.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think you should give it right back.
Yeah.
Nice. So Tony, you're also on. Are you still on Saturdays on ABC?
Saturday night, WABC. You go to WABC.com. You pick
can
up
listen
the
to it
link.
anywhere.
Yeah.
And if you miss it, you can see the archive the next day.
That's great.
This was
Your
a lot
archive's
of fun.
great. Oh man, thank you, John.
You know what's really
Thank you,
fun?
Tony.
Can I ask you one final question?
Sure. Go for it.
Okay. When did you realize that I was famous? When did you realize?
Oh, wow.
Not living in this $20 million house.
No, that
gave you
didn't
no
do it.
idea.
Yeah, that didn't do it. That's interesting. So yeah, when I was little, I think at baseball games, at Dodger games, when people would come up to you, even in the so the dugout club as you know it now today is it's different. Back then, we were behind that cage. Do you remember that we were like behind a little cage? No, you don't remember. Like if you look at old sports highlights of Dodger games from like 70 World Series or even the 81 or an 88 World Series, the dugout seats were behind. They were like field level. Literally field level and you were behind like a fence, behind like a little cage. Okay. Now it's like open and bigger and whatever. But so back then, it's obviously those were expensive seats back then. Which the funny thing is, I looked at old tickets. Like you were great at saving like old Dodger memorabilia and ticket stubs.
I love saving
that you left
tickets.
me, and you were like, if the Dodgers would have made the World Series in '82, here's our season tickets for the World Series kind of thing.
That's right, the box.
Right, the box. Yeah, I still have it. Like tickets to regular games were like $8 for those seats. Now they're like $500.
Wow.
But back then, it's all rich people.
So like you were there from 6 to your teens
till 18.
So what age would you say that occurred to you? Oh, my father's a star.
I think like when I was like 10 or 11. Just people coming because he couldn't watch the game, even in those seats, with tons of rich people down there.
Yeah,
one after another.
And how did that affect you?
I thought it was cool. I always thought it was cool, and the players, that you being a big deal to the players was cool. Like Davey Lopes, or we go back there and like guys were like excited. It's funny. The rock stars all want to be athletes. The athletes want to be rock stars.
Right.
And the actors want to be rock stars or athletes. It's funny.
That's cool.
When did you? I've never asked my son this question.
Yeah.
When did you get over it?
I wouldn't say I ever got over it. Like, what you mean, like when it just wasn't a big deal?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think, like in high school, I don't know if I really thought, or like as I got older, like meaning, maybe 15 to 21, I didn't think it was a big deal. Now, later in life, over the last 15 years, looking back, or like when I first met you, it's like, oh, my dad's Tony Orlando, and how you react.
Oh, yeah.
And how people react, or like when we just saw Dana White last night at the Contender Series. He was so excited to see you. Hadn't seen you in about 7 or 8 years.
Right.
But when I
great guy.
When I think back to the first night we met Dana White, it was at a fight Jake was fighting Robbie Lawler back in 2014.
I was there, I thought.
Were you?
I thought I was.
Yeah, you probably were.
Yeah.
And we went to that fight and we talked to Dana during the fight. It was kind of quick, but it was great. And then after the fight, we met Mike Goldberg, who did the commentary at the time.
Who still calls me.
Who still calls you Uncle Tony.
Uncle Tony,
Yep.
yeah.
And I remember Joe Rogan, we met super quick because it was right next. But Joe Rogan, while you were talking to Goldie, I heard Joe Rogan say, oh, wow, Tony Orlando. And I thought,
I heard him too.
Yeah. And I thought, that's really cool. Like, as an adult now, I think it's cool.
Yeah.
Or whenever you tell guests, that I don't know that you bring on, you tell them and how they react. It's cool.
Sure.
It's really cool.
They start singing.
Now, here's the great thing about it. As a father, you're my pride and joy. And you are the greatest thing that's ever happened to me, you and your sister. There is no star. There's no record. There's no award. There's no standing ovation that compares to the pride, the joy, and the love I have for you and what you've accomplished. Mostly what you accomplished with people, that you have the same friends you had when you were 10, that the people who work with you and have friends with you still, whether they're working with you or not, they're back. They're always around. That you have a great reputation. These are the things that make me wealthy. That's true stardom, is to have a son like you.
Well, thank you so much. I love you, and this was really fun.
That's really the truth.
Oh, it's great. That was a great ending, Tony. Fantastic.
And the thing that makes me tear up is that there is no 90% tax bracket when it comes to having a kid like you. Now, let me tell you what happened to me yesterday, okay? How the tables have turned around. I said to John, he says, we're going to meet at the UFC building. Did I say this earlier?
Yeah.
Let me just say it one more
Yeah,
time.
say it
It's
again.
okay because this will be part 2 for next week
right.
because they missed last
Let me
week.
just end this whole thing by saying how the tables have turned around. I go to eat dinner with my son in Vegas, and the guy comps me because he knows John. I go to meet him at the UFC building, and he says to me, Dad, when you get there, just tell the guy my name and he'll let you in.
We have gone full circle.
I'm going, wait a minute. This is cool. I mean, everywhere I go in this town, he has built such good relationships, like with guys like you who are great, legendary, wonderful partner in this effort that you're doing here.
Thank you.
You really are. You handle this thing. He handles himself better than I could ever handle it. It was someone who's never done it before. But, you're together is a great team because he knows his sports. You know betting sports. He loves to gamble. You know that camaraderie happens. There's a certain kind of hanging out with the guys that happens between you two. But there's a professionalism that comes out of you that's very important, that keeps it solid, just like you did. Can we now end this?
Yeah.
No, I'm saying that's for him.
Oh.
Can we now end this? You did it in such a great professional manner.
What are we talking about?
I just realized I was just told to shut up.
No.
No, I'm only kidding.
Oh, no.
No, I'm only joking. But no, your instincts are, okay, we're done. Let me get to that question that I've been dying to get about Jackie Gleason. I could watch him just itching.
Yeah.
I got to hear this.
I had to
answer.
hear it. Oh, yeah.
This has been a joy.
Yeah.
This has been a privilege. Good luck with this Sticky Paws. I love it. I love the name. I love the feeling in here. There's a good vibe in here. There's no stressful vibe in here. I see it all. Congratulations to John, to all you've accomplished.
But let me just remind everyone that this show is made possible by WSN and Crack Wins. WSN.com, obviously, is where you go every single morning to figure out all your stuff.
I'm actually figuring out Colorado right now because WSN's got tons of stuff, tons of things going on. The bonus section there, I told you. I'm actually going to take myself up on the offer of going to Colorado here in the next week or so because they have so many good deals. So that's all from WSN.com. Not only the articles, not only the great stories, but it's just a place to go that I have to go to every day. I'm a bonus guy. I'm a money guy. I have to make money doing this, and part of it is winning at bets like I do, but also is taking advantage of such good bonuses on there.
Yeah.
And again, like you said, the Crack Wins, crackwins.com, Crack Wins app.
Yeah, and you must, I'm assuming you're still on fire with Crack Wins, and I know this because I've brought him up before. I'm going to bring him up again. My buddy Johnny Cocktails, literally 2 days ago, Johnny Boy. He knows Johnny Cocktails, too. He was in That's My Boy with my dad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he says, Johnny Boy signed up for another month for Crack Wins. He's hot.
NFL.
The Crack man is hot.
God, the NFL. Normally, I'm one that says it's so hard to beat the NFL. The NFL's actually bailed me out of some situations. So, but yeah, so things are going well. College basketball starting in a couple weeks. I can't wait. Going back to Jersey for that, and look forward to that. So.